So I'm running this hedge script here. So if you don't know where the market's going, I've got a solution for that. So I put a link down below. This is a 1 hour hedge. The 1 hour hedge and a 2 hour hedge. And the beauty here is that if you feel uncertain and the market's going sideways, the answer is a hedge. So it's very drifty now. I'm going to load another 1 hour hedge, and this is the scalp orientated hedge it's going to look to make. It's actually going to get out if the market can break out of like a 4 pip box. So 2 pips above, 2 pips below, it's going to place stops, and then the ratio is going to be not the best, because if we fill both legs and chop and get tagged, then we will be, yes, I returned. But the thing is that with the hedge concept, if the ratios are good, they're really good. These aren't the best. It's like double your money, but you could get tagged. And of course, the longer, this is a 6 hour hedge here. So if I go this one, I'm putting in a 16 pip stop to make 32 pips. But if I go to sleep with a 6 hour hedge, I'm going to probably get pulled in. Now, if I put my entries 6 pips away, then the problem there is that you may be right, but you could be very much getting trapped at the edge of a 4 hour wick. So the better way to mechanically trade like this is to have a 15 minute, a 30 minute, a 1 hour, and just keep clicking the button, because as the market trades sideways, what you'll be doing is like a boa constrictor. You'll be coming up on the market where you continually keep tightening the zone it can live in. So this is mechanical trading, not from the standpoint of a robot. This is kind of like, you know, I come up every, now if you have this on your tablet, the longer the market goes sideways, the more it's in a doji mode, the more you're going to load the hedge strategy, because you want to get in before the drama. Now, it's not to say it can't go wick to wick and trap you. This is why you probably want to put in a little greedier ratio than this. Risk 4 to make 12. Risk 5, and run your stops 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So your worst stop is 10, but you're going to make 30 or 40. Now, it does happen, right? It's not like this doesn't happen. People say, oh, no, but especially when the market's quiet now, the market's screaming up here, you could actually launch one of these tickets. But that's a timing issue. It closed up hard, pull the trigger because you have a small wick at the top of that. So it's actually a hedge entry. Even though the perfect hedge entry was, I was talking to somebody today, was obviously this one here on the 15 was the only glorious ideal cherry pick setup. Is you have a double bottom and you have a drift back to the previous top in price. You have a double bottom in a low volatility zone for 15. Now, you had to pull the trigger here. And luckily, I was here for this trade. So anybody that doesn't... Now, this account that I posted here at FX Blue is this account, and this is the way I trade the market. So I'm in the euro. I'm in the same trades this thing was in, except for this one exception. I got in here last night. When I went to sleep, I just figured we did a wick hunt here yesterday. We went down and we took out the lows from... previous day in this little 6 pip window. This is a classic auction entry on a Wednesday. Wednesday they take it down for a new low, and then we reverse and engulf the whole week. So this was, if you started off Sunday, this is a perfect round turn hammer. At the end of the week we have a hammer on the euro, and the wick of the hammer was the taking out the low of the previous day in a 6 pip window. This is a 2 pip grid on top of a 10, so the dotted line's 2 pips. You can see it only went 4 pips to 6 pips below on, so maybe 10 pips if you put the spread in there. And look at the retest entry here. Now, I didn't place an order here, but what I did was I placed an array of orders on the way to there, and we never made it lower, and I put 2 banks in it. I got blown out on 1 bank, but 2 banks filled. So this is about as close to the way, and I just trade the euro dollar, so whatever this account's making is pretty much what I'm making. Because I only trade one currency. Now, everything else I posted up, this is the point, I've posted stuff that's just ridiculous, right? This account, I started off with $5,000 at the beginning of the week, so I'm up 600, right? Now, it's a different leverage, and it's different sizing, and I don't press the button here when I press the button on my other one. And the way these markets are, I don't have to trade 20 currency pairs because I can see all the money on this 1 hour chart. And if you can't see the money on the 1 hour chart, then you're maybe not thinking about how you could have made money on these psychotic fucking moves, right? Imagine you've got a buy limit sitting here because of this as support. But you got more than one buy limit. You got 40K in here. Some are designed to make 10 pips, some are dynamite, and some are designed to make a whole fucking 60 pips, whatever this move was. This raid here, all you had to do is place order limit banks in here, and yeah, I'm putting him in. The guy they asked me, I can't believe, no, put him in last night, 20K down here, scalp out. Now, if I'd have held through that whole thing and come back from lunch, come back from dinner, how can you not see all the fucking money in this? This is an auction within the auction. So this was the bottom tick Tommy. Come up in golf, come back to here, center point, set up for the obvious triple top becomes a single bottom on the 1 hour. We retest the scene of the crime, right? The trend, now I traded this to the close. I got out on this price pulse here. I got out of the whole position and went flat because I knew that I didn't want to hold it. And then I bought on limits, woke up in the middle of the night, filled on limit banks here, and scalped to here because I was drowsy. So I didn't take, this is a 1 hour trade that made all those pips, and then we drift up. So I didn't hold through this because on the 15 minute, I could buy pullbacks on the 15 on this thing. But like, here's a momentary channel, right? Is there a channel here? Yeah, but this is how long did that last? Not too long, right? It's just kind of a momentary. Yeah, you can. But look at the wick. It's blowing out your analysis. That's why these guys that Akil Stokes said one day, well, after the FOMC came out, he came back to his chart and he goes, "Thank God the market didn't ruin my chart." Yeah, because he draws this fucking shit on wicks. But if you draw it on closing prices, you can see the time structure. Top becomes a bottom internally here. At the end of that hammer, you could have got in. Your risk is more. Now we're looking for one last drift up into the 3 p.m. closing. Next 2 hours, we're wrapping up the day. And this is like maybe the last part of the trend traders. I do think 119 is on the table, but I'm not going to, like I said, you could see the painfully obvious auction here. Wednesday, wick Wednesday. And it's a classic. And you could have traded even this wick here. This is a new low, and you could have made 30 pips on this bounce, right? Had you got in at new lows and selling new highs. So today I sold new highs. I was talking to a trader today. I said, I'm selling new highs. I've already figured it out. Sell limits are up. I still got pending sell limits up here for 8 hours. So why would it matter? And would I really sit out and I'd say, well, this is not a Gartley, I'm not getting in. What are you, nuts? So you'd have to scalp 10 pips of this just to pay for the exposure of having another K and another K and another K, and maybe you got 100K in here, and you got stops that maybe one of those tickets has a 40 pip stop in case it gets really wacky, right? In case things go super psycho, and then you have one stop here, and you have a soft stop off of 40K. So you have 40 stops in here feathered out, and then you've got your first, where you're underwater is your first entries here, right? So you bought this double bottom, so you're getting into a 15 pip window, and you're risking maybe as you bring this closer to the bank, inside here, you're going to have a stop that matches up inside of this array. So it's a cluster, either hand-placed singles. If you want to do it right, you hand-place the signals and you just keep counting off every time you plunk an order in. Take that off your risk list, in other words, off your exposure. And here's your... so you always have to think about the sizing, right? But here, this is a 1K, I think. And this is 1K. If it fills both legs, you're going to lose 12 pips total. If you just fill one leg, you'll risk 6 to make 12. But these should probably be better ratios. And this actually doesn't. I just posted this in the hightail link, but this needs to be set. Comment should match the script, but it doesn't have to. Then, so you would just know, hey, listen, I want to put on risk 1 hour of risk, and after an hour, if you don't fill either leg, then it's going to delete itself. Here, 2 hour self-deletion. Here's 4 hour. Now this is, if you're going to go to sleep and you don't want to babysit and you don't want to decide, let the market decide. Whichever way the wind blows, and it doesn't stop you out because you didn't run too tight of a stop, or whatever you did wrong. So so that was one last bounce there. I'm seeing a pullback on the 15. So if they trap me now, if the other order is still pending, the other leg, you need to delete that, because if it comes back in 6 hours and tags the other one, maybe now, since that's a pivot because it left the station there, now that's a top become a bottom. You don't want to be in there structurally because you don't want to have the market come back and tag you. It's support and go the wrong way. In other words, you're getting trapped on a false breakout on a 6 hour time frame now because that pending is still lingering there. So you probably want to close all open orders. And so build a new hedge at a different price, and maybe have a 15.5 hour and a 30-minute hedge, Yeah. Right. Yeah, I think you mean putting a trailing stop of buy limits. Yeah, you could put a trailing stop of limits above and buy limits below. I think you mean below, because you can't do the other way, right? But yeah, actually I have that. I did that, Okay, now here's the thing. How you get in the market is psychological. So if you get in on a stop, what you're saying is that I want the market to go my way and pick me up in a stream. The only problem with that entry is that it has to have enough momentum in that move to continue crushing through for you to win. It can pull back a little bit, but it's got to keep churning. So you're betting, can the market come and fill me on a, do I think there's enough velocity or momentum left that once I get filled here, because if I didn't buy at the market or sell at the market before that breakthrough. So if you bought or sold before the breakout, so you can see the breakout, right? You can see that you would place a buy stop, but if you realize that may not happen or they might trap you. So now you decide to buy one at the market and buy one on a stop. And maybe you've got a buy limit below you and you try to trade a 3K. And you can put that on one script. Pull the trigger, buys at the market, puts a 15-minute buy stop in, a 15-minute buy limit. And you only pull the trigger when the market's down. So when the market's down, every half hour you pull the trigger. So what you created right now is a triple threat against the bankers, right? Because what you've done is you bought the market and you're saying, you know what? It looks like a buy, but maybe I'm getting in too early. For 15 minutes, I have an order sitting 8 pips deep. So I'm going to corner the market. I'm going to get at the market because on the clock it says that we're down. Every 15 minutes is down. In an uptrend I buy. So I'm building a long position on pullbacks. And just in case, if I'm wrong, I'm going to, of course, now, where's the stop on your market order? Let's say it's 12 pips. And where's your stop on your buy limit order? Let's say it's 11 pips. So you kind of have a soft stop. Now, if they fill, not a soft stop, actually, you have to think in terms of when you pull the trigger, it buys at the market, and because you don't have to, you already know you're going to buy if it goes down more, right? Because you already decided you're going to build a position. So you have a buy limit attached to that buy market order. Because you're like, you know what? Looks like a good buy. I'm going to buy a little here, and it could probably go down 8 pips. And if I have a master stop that in the end, when you connect the stops from the limit to your market order, it's say 12 pips. And you're like, okay. Now, you can afford to wait. Maybe you can't afford to wait. I can't. If you're really good at trading, you would say, I'm going to wait 3 minutes. If it drops another 3 pips, I'm going to buy another market. Now you're stacking up buy limits in front. You're front running the market by 8 pips, and you haven't got filled on your limits because the market's not coming down with enough velocity to really. And now this is like being a sniper with a million bullets, though, because you're going to say, you know what, I like it here. Buy. Okay, wait 5 minutes, which is like forever if you have no patience. On a 5-minute chart, that's like a double bottom. I mean, on a 1-minute chart, that's a triple bottom, double bottom. But so you look at the tick chart and you go, okay, buy one here. Now, realizing that you're planning on getting into at least a 10 to 50K on this trade. But the market's talking to you. It's coming down a little. It's drifting down. We've been in an uptrend. My moving averages haven't even responded to the reality of it yet, right? You got a temporary moving average. It's completely verbluncent, right? It doesn't understand that in the real world, there's a tick chart and I'm getting killed right now because I'm in 50K and it's down 8 pips, right? So whatever size you decided to leg into a perceived move, and today we have a big climax move, and obviously you had to get out at 1820 on the euro dollar, just because if you look at the 4-hour chart, it was obvious, right? It was the high of the week where you started off the whole party, right? So where did the party start on Sunday night? It started right up here in this window above 1820. So you knew that right at 1820, you could have sold, and you can't really see down here, but in fact, I got to change the color of these exits because you can't see the wicks. So your stops, your stops and stuff is here, stop level. So I just make this a different color. I can't see what I'm doing. That's brutal. I'll go with dark blue here. Kind of see it now. Okay, so here, the thing is, you can barely see it because you have to go to 1 hour to prove that this is the entry or the target. So if you're bullish, you are getting, if you bought wick to wick, if you bought this wick window down here, then I gotta buy the euro again here, real money. So I'll buy it on this one. This is basically, so you can see the 15-minute we went down, and we're coming to the top of the hour. So basically, this candle is going to finish down, so you have to buy this because it's on sale. So you go to the 15-minute. See, this pullback, you would buy this, and I would put on this goober breakout. This is the 1 hour non-directional, and if it's really going up, then I can run a hedge all the time. Actually, here I got trapped though. See on this, if this bid came down, which it did, it trapped me. So I'm on the wrong side of the hedge here, and that's why you could not. You have to get out. It's going to just take me out, right? I'm going to be wrong. Now I have to double up on this one now. Or I'm going to open the platform and get out of that short. Because I'm actually up on that short. I'm probably slightly up on that short. So there's no getting out of working. You're still going to have to work, right? So I'm going to buy at the market now because on the 5-minute we just pulled back. So this pullback here was your buy signal. If you think it's going to drift up. If you think by the end of the day we're going to go higher. So you'd base that on the theory that we broke this trend line, or we're in the process of breaking. Just about to break it, right? On the 5-minute closing prices, it kind of just broke out a little bit there. So you broke out here and you pulled back. But nice thing about trend lines is there's only so many places to attach this. Like you can't. It's not subjective. Here's a trend line. Any place you see a mountain peak. Here's the top that became a bottom. All right, this is when the 5-minute, you fall through the 4, you come back to this, but you take that trade because you're still in a down channel. So you either built your channel like this and you actually spill out of the channel just before such a violent move, it actually blows through the channel on that top bottom. So, and then eventually, the next top bottom, but we're running out of steam on tops become bottoms because that game doesn't go on forever. Then you get a perfect double bottom on the 5, which coincides with the theory that we return to the scene of the crime. So that's a triangle back here. And now maybe we make it to here and everybody's going to cash out. Not everybody, but most people are going to cash out where this double bottom internally or just anywhere randomly along the way. And this is designed, this setup in this platform is designed to actually scale out automatically here. And I only intervened once where I cashed out at the end of the day, so it's pretty much the way it looks. Now I would move up my targets. If this is real money, now I start scooching up my targets. I got to accept the terms of one-click trading here. So I scooch these guys up, right? I could bring these, I can start to say, you know what, I wrote kind of a break-even script, but let me move up my targets and pick them up to this, my perceived target. But anything close to this, now I just made, right, I made the trade a little bit. Now I can make 12 pips, but the market took me in on scripts, and I did trade at the market a few times here, but now we got to pop over this. Like this void needs to fill in 1 hour now. You have a deadline. Kind of by 3 p.m., we go up into this vacuum and get out and go flat and maybe put on a hedge, but I'd put on a lot tighter hedge than this. Or you could put on an at-the-market hedge. So if you got in at the market on 2 legs with 4 pip stops, now you're going to lose a leg, but now it's a different kind of hedge because they can't trap you. You decided to actually load a market hedge, so you're not in a, whereas if this market never returns to here in an hour, this will auto-delete this thing, but you're basically, when you buy a market hedge, you're saying, well, so they said chop both legs out, you're flat, but you're going to lose more pips on a breakout hedge because you got to run wider stops, probably. I mean, it seems like, but you're guaranteed both legs fill on market entry, and now your stops, your ratios have to be better. But you could trade more frequently with a market hedge because you're risking less per button press. Whereas you're actually risking more when you put in these bracketed buy stops, sell stops, because that order is exposed, lingering exposure where if you begin at the market, there is no clock ticking, it's ticking against your stop. And you already know that number. Whereas you don't know if both legs of this keep filling on a stop entry strategy hedge, you're fucked. They just chop you to death. You get whipsawed, and then That's why a robot would get killed trying to trade the market. But yeah, that's, you know, at least this way, if the market goes sideways, there's a strategy. But I definitely understand when it's obvious that, hey, you just got to pull the trigger right now for a few pips, a high probability of making a few pips, like I can predict the weather for the next 2 hours, but predicting the weather for 18 hours from now may be impossible. And of course, the big picture being the, so here's the 15-minute view, which is, you know, certainly more bullish looking for the next hour, because as long as you hold this price level, this is where the top became the bottom, and you're caught in a range trade, then this target here doesn't look that hard to do on the 15. But as time goes on here, we may only make it back to the middle of the road, which would be, if you consider this fair value, it's going to make it to the middle of that somewhere. But maybe there's a blast, and you can make it all the way to here, and then I don't know, maybe by market close you can take out this wick. So a lot of people would be cashing out, I'm sure, on that 15-minute wick, and scalpers would come in there like crazy to make 5 pips. And you can see it ricochet off that. You have to drill down here, fix the scale, but to see that kind of price action, price fills. But this is pretty fair broker. You have a half a pip spread here with commissions. So here's your head and shoulders pattern, right? This is classic. Here's your head, your 2 shoulders. You'd have to pull the trigger on the clock there to babysit that for a 15-minute entry, but you could have just sold like an idiot. Anything above. So here was that fill I was talking about. It's on that 4-hour chart, the high of the week is right here. So when this happens on the 15-minute, it's scary, right? Now, if you see that on the 1 hour, it's not so scary because you're not disorientated. You see the fill, you see the place you had your sell limit right here on this wick tip. They fill you, they take it down 50 pips. They bounce back. Now, if you have buy limits down here, you sell this wick, this psycho internal auction, and you have buy limits, the best of both worlds. You're short into your buy limits. Some are gonna get stopped out, right? It's a whole area of orders, and that's insane, right? Now that's just one instrument, one currency pair. So why would you trade the guppy? I don't know. Honestly, every time I look at another price currency, my brain comes on. I end up just losing my mind. I'm so overwhelmed. I'm like, look at all the trades in here. I can't even look. Right? It's like looking into so much opportunity that it's overwhelming. So you look at the hourly euro dollar and you go, let me see if I can hunt all the trades I missed because I was afraid to put a limit order in. Let me see all the trades I missed because I was sleeping. You know, there's no fucking way with a moving average crossover. Are you anticipating the crossover? I'm going to go to sleep. I better get in before the cross is over, right? So that's the problem, you know. I should be moving these take profits here on this thing. And of course, every moment, there's a decision to be made, unfortunately. Because if the market's unfolding the way you perceive it is, and at what point do you say, I can't add to this because now I'm chasing. I missed, because you can't add when it's a fragile, like say that it's moving, but you're like, yeah, it's not a lot of energy left. I mean, the drama's over. Of course, here, the only drama that's left is the next 55 minutes are critical because there's kind of a 5-pip rally maybe coming. And then maybe that's over. And then it's like, oh, here comes. But what's funny is I'm trading demo here. This is full disclosure. Trading demo in this account. This is hilarious. I put in sell limits and I anger traded the Dow Jones. Now, as a lot of you know, the Dow Jones is bullish. Look at this. Look at this insane breakout. Like, look at this. So I put sell limits up there by hand, and it really is a demo. Look at this breakout, pull back to the breakout, and then off to the races like you can't believe, right? Something right out of a textbook. Non-stop, no look back. And wow, so I put the sell limits, and I've been selling for, the whole week. Actually, the whole month, I think. My first sell was here at the beginning of the month. Somewhere's in here. No, it was right around here. I said, you know what? I think this is the top. So I'm going to hold this until it comes all the way back to the scene of the crime, this triangle. And then I'm going to post it and say, yeah, that's my trading account. It's going to come all the way back to here. First got to make it to the last known top. So it's actually, if it comes all the way back to here, I'll actually be I can get out on my losers here. I don't know if anybody's ever swung trade like this, but you go like, oh, I can see where I need to get out. Sure. If it comes all the way back to here and this top becomes a bottom, this will be where the buyers come in. So I'll hand it off to the buyers. Like, I'm already making, I'm up so big on this trade already. Look at the way this thing, look at the way this pulled back on the, look at the hammer here on the 4 hours. So this is quite an astounding pullback. There hasn't been that's the most volatile 4-hour session since right here. So we've been in a creeper gear drift. This is a big move, but as far as a reversal, pretty astounding hammer. So maybe it's a hanging man, but I don't care. I'm going to demo, see. And I was prepared to sell up here. In fact, just in case they take it up there tonight. So the reason why I do this is because it proves the fact that you could martingale into this trade. Now, presuppose you got enough money in your account, and as this thing comes flying back, or not flying back, maybe it drifts down, but if I wait 3 weeks, you think I can't cash out here at and Bitcoin's off the rails, right? Bitcoin hit the channel target. So here's the perfect channel on Bitcoin completed. Just going for this Goober-esque thing. You have this equal price pulse here. If you turn off the ray, you can see the classic, you connect this to the high, so this price pulse, is echo, and it lines up to, where's my shift chart? Jeez. Gotta get the chart away from the edge because I can't see the completion of this. So I actually got there in price, but time-wise. But if you did it off of closing prices, it's more accurate. See, the closing, because closing is going to take you here, here. So I actually nailed it on close. Of course, some people would say, well, take this price pulse, but you're supposed to take the highest one between these two. And the weekly, it just looks very simple and clean. If you connect this to here, go to here, so you hit that price pulse dead on. Yeah, but Bitcoin 5,600, man, and stock market's up. Somebody said WikiLeaks guy was. Somebody said the WikiLeaks guy was. He was forced to put his money in Bitcoin, so I guess he's lobbing it all the way to the bank. All right, so that was the. So yeah, I don't know. I guess it's pretty quiet. Nobody's saying anything. Nobody seems to be too chatty there. Some guy from France. Yeah, so the French, do they make escargot and stuff over there? Is that one of those, is that a French dish? Snails. Yeah, we're just waiting for one last rally. But yeah, that's the hedge thing. And of course, you could write a million of those hedges. You could just get carried away pretty much in anything, I think, these days. Oh, it's pretty quiet out there. I don't even know if my audio's going out. People are just watching me manipulate charts. I think I know what he's doing. Yeah, I'm not playing back my audio, so I don't have any. I don't have any way to. But yeah, just trading the euro dollar, the boring euro dollar. I don't know. Maybe there's one last rally. That was quite a run though. From pretty funny, classic Wednesday entry. Look at this monster stop hunt down here. So here we have an entry. I think this is on big stop hunt here. So if you were prepared for this stuff where you're buying literally in a 20 pip window like that, you have to scalp to the floor. So you need to make 20 pips on that at least. And then here you really didn't get here you just had to sell every new high. You had to sell for a scalp coming back, really. It's real contrarian trading. I guess that's what I'm into, is contrarian trading. I can see the trend. I can see a top become a bottom in the middle of a price pulse, but let's face it, the most money you'll ever make in your life is to get in here in this 10 pip window and ride this for 4 hours screaming back as it crushes out this trend line. Come on. Like, this is a trade, right? You sold this you kept selling new tops and scalping, and then you're like, one of these times, man, you hit me one more time, bitch. Right? So this is a classic, approach avoidance. She loves me not. You keep plugging the flowers off till eventually, right? And look at the trend line and close, how nice, no, it's not, there's no ambiguity to a line chart. Perfect double top. Of course, this is broker dependent for this 4-hour chart. Don't forget the 4-hour chart's a little different. Per broker, ideally you'd have 4 brokers in each time frame to, each time zone. But look at this classic failure swing here. You're still holding this trend line like magically, like holding onto this trend line, and just now you're breaking. A lot of people aren't even getting in until fucking now. But I say fuck with them. I'm getting in down here, right? I'm getting in down here at the 75. This is the 50-yard line. This 50 pip grid. There's a 10 on top and a 2 pip scalp grid on top of that. Like, who doesn't want to make 8 pips for certain? Yeah, you can make 50 pips, but if you could pay for the stops on your swing trade on the scalp down here, or even a breakout strategy. So you have a breakout strategy that's paying for your swing strategy, which your scalp, it may be paying for your bad scalps. And you have 3 different styles of trading. And you're like, oh yeah, I can see that trade plan works. So of course it does, as long as you don't overtrade it or even undertrade it, right? Because if you never pull the trigger, then that's a problem. But I definitely don't trade. When I buy at the market, I just want to say that's the worst trade I've done all day, because I didn't really plan it out price-wise. I planned it out maybe rhythm-wise and maybe price-wise, but let's face it, if I think it's not going to pull back at least 3 pips, you got to be out of your mind, right? Any market order you put in there might pull back 20 pips. So that's why you would buy every 10 pips it dropped. In 4 hours, if you tell yourself every hour it drops, I'm just going to buy a 1K. Before you know it, you're in a 5K. It starts to retrace. You can see when it's starting to lose momentum, and now you're actually trading more. When it quiets down and drifts into a wedge, now you're really loading a wagon, or you're trading tighter stops now, and maybe you are buying every 15 minutes now with a tight stop, and then they burst out, and you scalp a portion of that, and then you let the rest go because you already legged in with swing tickets, because there's going to be a scalp. There's also going to be a sideways market in Asia, and there'll be little baby moves. if you had the right script, you could trade those. And then you would just say, you know what? Europe's about to open. They might spike it to the north. They might spike it to the south. You got limit grids in there for that. Then you say, I got my hand on the trigger for the 15 pip market orders. I think, buy one here, buy one and put 8 tickets below on limits. So you would say, always figure you're wrong. So just figure you're wrong on market orders. And then say, you know what? Maybe I'm forcing the trade because I'm getting it at the market. But you know what? I got limits below because I know, look at this pullback here. So I got limits below. And I know that let them stop me out of my 7 pip stop because 14 pips below, I've got 14 to 28 pips below, I've got 1Ks 2 pips apart for the next hour and a half. Next hour. Or maybe it's a 2-hour script and it's about to expire in an hour and a half. So you're always regulating your inventory based on time. And so you're your own you're actually your own market maker. You got your own inventory. You've got pendings here, you got pendings there, and you've got your go-to, okay, I could just pull the trigger here and lightly buy a pull. If I'm buying is it drifting down on a pullback, this is wave 4 in Elliott wave, it's drifting wedge. And you're like, okay, this is boring me to death, but every time it comes down a little bit, I'm just going to, every hour, every 15 minutes, I'm going to buy. And when we resolve this wedge, you're presupposing it's going to be in the previous direction, up or down. You're going to scalp out of some of that. And maybe that's the only, maybe that's enough money to make up for a wide stop you're going to put on a swing trade later. So I always had to be thinking that where's your money coming from? I guess if you did some metrics on do you make more money scalping than swing trading, I guess unless you write that down, you don't know, right? Unless you keep track of that. So I don't keep track of that. I just think, oh, yeah, good, I didn't blow up the account today. Good. So, of course, the patience when you're staring at the chart, I have no patience because I'm watching. If I'm watching the tick chart, I'm thinking, okay, I can't buy here. I'm already in too big. So I can see the buyers are coming in here, but I can't add on every tick chart pullback if I'm buying. Or even when I'm selling, because I'm like, you know what? They're not done going up or they're not done going down, and I'm already in big, and let's see if they can stop me out. And of course, at that moment, I'm putting orders in 30 to 40 pips deep, because if they do stop me out, when will they stop tanking? So when's the market going to stop tanking? I'm thinking one step ahead only because, so here, I would put in buy limits. So I'm in here on stops from this hedge thing, and I bought some at the market. So I'm up $3. And now I put in buy limits for tonight. I put a 10K here, risk 15 to make 30. So my exit's going to be 30 pips above where I'm at. So basically below this line, I start buying tonight. And here I'll overlap another 10K. It's just overlapped slightly. Now I'm in 30K. 8 hours. 8 hours we got to go below this. We got to pop below this structure level. This is the 1 hour closing high. Shaved candle, mind you, turned on a dime there. Literally turned on a dime there. And so I think that was the end of the close yesterday or something. And then here was the big... this big pullback when Europe opened. So now we're kind of just trapped here sideways, and maybe there's one last price pulse, like I said, to take it up and hunt down this wick on the 15. So I figure this wick there would be where people would sell on limits, because you just kind of grab that and then pull it back and probably come back into. So you'd have to see the trade ahead of time, that if you sold up here on this wick, your exit's going to have to be this wick and below into here. If you're lucky, they pull it back in there. And here, of course, if you're long, they have to stop you out of this wick and this wick And if I'm still in that short, so actually, since I got into the hedge, I'm still in that short probably, that would be my winner. And so you make money from letting the market decide there. If I didn't cancel these, which I didn't delete these stops, so I have 4-hour stops sitting out here. So if they come down here, and you've got good ratios on your tickets, and it clashes around, and maybe it does end up taking out the floor here tonight, those would become winners. And even though you figured it was an uptrend, that just by the fact that you loaded a hedge on this 15-minute, say, a 15-minute hedge, that by default you're short here, and maybe you're making money from that right now. And you can, because this is this broker's not in the United States, so you can actually trade that like that. And if your targets aren't set to make 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 pips out of this gate, but you probably want your 15-minute scripts to actually have targets like that, because if you're running that on such a criteria like a robot would get in here, that was the robot I was trying to get going, was when you see a small 15-minute, this is the only trade the robot would take in today is this. And his targets are going to be like 5 and 8 pips and stuff, which is probably right about down here. As soon as you take out this wick, you'd be cashing out, because this is where the buyers will start coming in. If they can tug this down and kind of stop hunt these guys as we come in the end of the day. So they're wrapping up the stock market here. And the stock market, I guess my theory here is the stock market is at all-time highs. And if the stock market falters, that the dollar should falter, I think. And then the buying of Bitcoin and the euro dollar is going to go through the roof. And the euro dollar on the weekly is still in an uptrend. If you look at your 400-day moving average, your 500-week moving average. And so, man, it could be big bloodbath for the dollar, especially if they're going to, and of course, this fundamental argument is that, well, they're going to reduce taxes, and now, as soon as you reduce taxes, I heard some guy calling a talk show yesterday and say, well, theoretically, he's saying, well, all the money that's the government printed is what causes inflation, not the money that businessmen have already in existence and they use. That's complete bullshit, because as soon as you stop taxing people, as soon as you lower the taxes, people have more disposable income, and therefore you're chasing money, because now all that money you did print is a problem, because that's money people have been holding on to. It's held printed money. That's not real money. In other words, if your income's, if you sell food, if you have a store that takes food stamps, that's not real money. It's money, but what if the people that are making money get to spend what they have, because taxes really are designed, well, the side effect or the effect is they take money out of circulation. The government's going to go re-spend it, but they're going to gobble it up. All the bureaucrats are going to take that money home. So it's just where the money's distributed to. But if the other people have that money on a different marketplace, so if all of a sudden the people that are able to spend their money, that they're in a different sector, and then you get sector rotation, and then you could see wild stuff happen. Then you'd see really crazy stuff. Gold's either going to go through the roof or it's going to go through the floor, because now something else matters more than gold. I guess you can see that shift happening right now. Like what matters most, What matters most to people, I suppose, is always the criteria. People run from one sector to the next. But yeah, so look at that, making money on if I placed a sell stop and a buy stop in this 15, I'd be making money right now on that scalp. So you figure the stop hunt starts here, but you'd start putting your buy limits there. So if I was going to go along put in say a 1 hour order, which I don't, these are all 8, but if I put in a 1 hour order, it would look something like this. Well, it's okay. For the next hour, if they can pull this down here in the next 15 minutes, 1 hour, half hour, I'll buy it. So I just lay all these orders in here and go, okay, well, and then let them stop me out. If they really crush it down here, because tonight I'd be buying super deep down here and maybe come all the way back to 18. And of course, anybody that's trend trading this is the downtrend on the 15. This is a great trend trade. This is wave 4, right? This is the quiet triangle pullback, and this may be wave 5. You have the wave 3 is the biggest wave. So Elliott wave is kind of a rough. All you know about Elliott waves is the biggest wave is 3, and 4 is the one that is the drift. Or this is A, B, C. The B wave or the 2 or the 4 wave is going to be quiet. It's going to be correctional. So if this is a downtrend, that was the correction. And but it's all segmental. You're blocking off this, and you're saying, well, that's the down channel. So there's a stop hunt, right? They're coming into my buy limits now, or they're stopping me out. So here we go. We stop hunt into the. So now I can put buy stops on top. So as it's coming back, I'm going to put scalp buy stops on top, in case that's just a stop hunt. And that's just, in other words, that last big price pulse down naturally bottom of the hour. And they need to grab this, and we really are going up, or this is the beginning of the new downtrend, and we're just going to drift out. We're just basically going to complete and fill this void, so we don't know. Now I'd actually go and open this up and get out of my winning sells. If I thought, well, you know what, looks like a stop hunt, so I go for my sells, and even though they're not making a ton of money, I get out of my sells because I don't want to be trapped down here. And this would help my metrics here. I manually close out the short side because I know that this thing loaded on it. They're not really, I think it's like $3 maybe in total. Okay, so now I'm basically long. And so in a way, I guess that protected me. I don't know if that, probably because I didn't make no money on that, but maybe some of those made money I didn't see. Now I would have had to write, you'd have to write like 5 pip, take profits on that. So long ways from taking profits on that trade. So it's still caught in this channel. And now if they're going to continue down, then I guess it was stupid to get out of the sells, but it looked like kind of a flash crash to me. Especially all my brokers do the exact same thing in the euro. I get this big shear down on the tick chart, just like it just fell out of bed. And I think that's just pressure from all the stops. Don't forget there's money management stops trailing behind this. And of course, this low true range on the 15 was impetus. That's the cause for that effect. So very quiet moves. The only other 15, here's another small 15-minute bar. Big explosion out of that. Real perfect pullback into support and then a big explosion. So that's not unusual to see that fierce kind of a movement from that. It's so quiet and then bam, right? Oh yeah, that account that was the account that this guy was bragging about that I traded this cloud system on. What I did was that was an anger trade, but out of a different. I was trying to show you size matter. That was an example of size matters. Plus, I had no stops in the account, right? So what I did was, I took this $10,000 account. I probably made like $60,000 or something, but I traded on scripts, right? And then I looked at the euro dollar just like I'd look at this little stop hunt here and I'd think, damn, I'm going to load. Standard, like fuck scripts. I just started trading naked standard lots. So, and I made a bunch of money. And then some guy was criticizing me. This guy, Ricky Ricardo, was abusing my comments by saying, oh, you're in a demo. It's just done a demo. I said, okay, dude, listen. Now, mind you, that was a lot of work to not make real money in the first place. Besides, because I'm winning, now he's pissed off. I'm winning, it's fake. So then when I was up on so big, I go, watch this. I'm going to buy standard lots. And this is a recording I did on a tablet, which is almost unbearable audio-wise. And I said, listen, I'm going to load the wagon here without stops and show you that. And guess what? I said, the market's probably done going up. Watch me blow up the account. And I blew up the account. And the guy never came back, which was found very fascinating. The guy didn't come back because I'd posted this, I had this posted on FX Blue, and I said, he didn't say, hey, look, you blew up the account, so you're an idiot. It's funny psychologically, if you make money on a demo, oh, well, you're just, you have no fear and you don't know what you're doing, you're just lucky. And of course, when you blow up the account, nobody says, look, you're an idiot. So it's just funny psychological test, I guess. Experimenting on trollers, my trolling experiment. And I always thought trolls were these little people that kind of hunched over, but so yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I trade a lot different. The thing is that this is how you're supposed to trade. I'm trading on this demo here because I don't know what's going to happen. And if I traded the 15-minute chart blow by blow here, this is how it would go. And this is how it'd have to be. Now, if you sold up here earlier and you had the patience to hold on till it caves back into this void here, so every time the market moves and hangs, it creates a void. So when it went up earlier today and it created this void, I'll just use the Gartley void here. This is my Batwing. So as you filled that thing, if you waited till it came all the way back to the starting gate, now that was a lot of patience because you had to endure all this time going by. And of course, on the 1 hour, it doesn't look like much time at all, right? It's only 1 bar. It's only like 2 bars maybe down. It's like 2 hours down. If you sold somewhere right on close, if you sold on the clock, like on this last hour, you just sold at the market, boom. In fact, you sold 2 hours into that. Sell, sell. 2 sells at the market, hold. And look how you made money on that, right? Presupposing you ran like a 20, 30 pip stop. And you could have run a very tight stop up here of 10 pips on this market order. So maybe you sold here, got stopped out, you sold again, and then you're finally right, and you're looking to make 20, so you risk 10 to make 20. It's a perfect trading day in your view of the day. Here, even here, if you bought at the market, they never retested this. You could have bought on close here on this closing. So we went down, then back up, and then close. Then we take off. You would have made money there, So they're going down. Looks like I'm not going to make money. I should have stayed in my sells, right? So, but I have buy limits to get in deeper. If we go down and stop out that wick, I'm going to buy. So I'm going to buy on the way to that wick. And like I put these buy limits in here like this. So I'm going to buy. If this channel completes, I'll be a buyer down here. Otherwise, I'm still holding. As long as I don't stop out this last 15-minute wick. So the scalper is probably the people that are looking to make 5 pips, they're out, or 3 pips, they're out. Like I said, 3 p.m. is going to be the clincher. Maybe we close right around here. And then, of course, stocks. Stocks are really insanely priced. But there's definitely an order imbalance, and that's like what I think is going on now. So order imbalance, and then so I'm not looking at I'm just looking at the euro dollar, because if I brought up the yen, it's too much. It's just too much drama. It's too much. I could never trade. This is how I trade, like I'm doing right now. This is how I trade. So I buy at the market, right? Buy at the market because we just made a double bottom on the 15, and I'm running a 5 pip stop right now, and then I just wait. And I do think we could break out of this channel, and I actually long from down here, so I'd be adding on pullbacks, and of course, if they stop me out, then I think I let them stop me out, but I'd start buying pretty heavily tonight down here. That's my backup plan. Now, like I said, if you sold this screaming 2-hour blast up here, but yeah, there's so many trades in here. If you're trading both directions, there's so many trades in here that it's ridiculous. I mean, like, look at this beautiful tick chart. I mean, how hard is that to read? Especially I can do arbitrage here. Got 2 brokers, 1 currency, right? So I got 2 tick charts, and I only have to pay attention to this, right? So you make life easy. Here's the 1 hour. Here's the 5 minute. Right? Why kill yourself, right? So here's the 15 minute. No, here's a 15 minute. 4 period moving average on the blue. 4 period moving average on the cloud there. It's a 4 period cloud, so to speak. So yeah, if it crushes down here, I don't have any orders in here, but if I did, they'd look like this. I could just put in orders on this. Just put them down here anywhere, right? Because it would just be about as is $5 per drop risk. And I could put 1 buy stop here and 1 buy limit there, but most of my orders would be down here. And if we don't fill, then I would just be like, you know what? Got to buy at the market. They twisted my arm, so I'd just buy 1 at the market. Say every 5 minutes it's at support or it's pulled down, and then just cross my fingers, hope for the best, because you're not certain, because you still get another shearing blast. Has anybody watched the market knows that at any moment they could just bid it down 10 to 15, 20 pips in a second. They could shear, like wind shear. Your planes just hit for no apparent reason. These jet planes, I don't know if they redesigned it, but there used to be a thing called wind shear, and basically it's just like you're just sitting there, everything seems to be okay, and all of a sudden you get this instant turbulence, near the ground, and it just comes out of nowhere, and it's just like, well, that's going to fuck up the aerodynamic, the way the configuration of your plane is not designed for that. And so a lot of this stuff, of course, somebody just made money there. Look how tight the spread is at this Bitcoin broker. The spread is 0. So if you bought here and dumped here, you just made a trade on that. I guess that's a super scalper sniper. If you bought this retest of this tick chart, then that's a hell of a trade, right? If you just looked at the tick chart, you'd say, okay, well, I'm going to buy support here. I'm just going to dump when we get here. But at least this way, if I have the tick chart and I have a 15-minute chart and I can see, oh, it's down here on the 1 hour. Okay, well, at the bottom of the hour, I'm going to buy one more standard lot or whatever it is. And then you just like, okay, I'm long. And then if you reached your margin limit for the day, you're basically locked out, right? Now you've reached 2%. With 80 tickets, you're up to 2%. Finally, you reached your 2% limit for the day. But I would say there's a lot you could do on the way to 2%. Like the idea that you risk 2% per trade is just ridiculous. You'd risk how much money per trade, because 2% of $1 million account, that's a lot to risk on one trade, don't you think? And where's your, you can't even wiggle out of that. You can't even scale in that. You can't get slowly hit. You're going to get smacked, And of course, why would you want to lose that much, right? Yeah. Well, yeah, I came back from the crypt, back from the from taking the polar nap. As soon as it got cold out, come back from the abyss. Paul Ryan's he's going to sign that healthcare bill any second. So yeah, the tick chart's a trip. Big tick chart. You gotta turn off all the symbols to get a giant tick chart. Otherwise, the buffer won't fill up here. So I got too many symbols running here, I think. See, if I take off all these symbols and just go down to one symbol, this tick chart would fill all the way up. But yeah, we're just kind of, it looks like we're about to just drift sideways now. Another stop hunt coming. I think they could take it down another 10 pips. So here I'm not even in yet on this account, I don't think. So I'd buy this whole, basically into Asia. I'd buy any bounces in here. So it's in a downtrend on the 15-minute. So coming very close to those wicks. So if there's enough momentum here, we're going to crush down about 10, maybe 12 pips. So yeah, it's definitely, it looks like this big void's going to fill now. So I have to crush down in. So I'll put my orders right on this, because I see where the stops are. They're right up on these wicks here, so I'll put all my limits on the wicks. I just have to scalp a bounce off of this. Maybe by 3 o'clock we'll be crushing down in or something. I know by 3 o'clock some big punctuation time in these markets. So I'd also put buy stops if I got the script running. I put a buy stop on top in case we come flying back. So I put like a sandwich, buy stops and buy limits. It looks like they want to pop out that wick though. And of course I have 15-minute decay on these buy stops that are just basically looking to make 8 pips if it reverses. I think I got some buy stops on this one too. But this account's making all its money from being short the and look at the Dow Jones won't die. That's a daily. Look, we're coming back up for another rally. I wonder if the Dow can take out the high of the week and keep going up. That's pretty amazing. That's the what time frame is that? That's 4-hour chart. Just insane. It's insane. I can't. Now this would definitely be, wow. This is the moment of truth because really, you can't take that out. Come up to here. This would be your shoulder, and then lights out. And then what? I mean, this has been going up for 4 years straight. There's no yearly chart here, but the Dow Jones is just out of control. I mean, it's just like look at, you can't even see anything past this whole time here. You've been living up on this on the north side of the. It's insane. That's just insane. Just keeps churning up though. Unbelievably. Just a melt up. Bitcoin's off the rails. New Zealand dollar's falling through the floor. See, here's a currency I haven't looked at in a long time. I definitely buy it down here if it comes down here tonight. It's too late to sell unless you get on the 5-minute train. I don't know, the market's kind of dead in the water here. But yeah, if this goes through the floor, then dollar's coming back. But see, I'm looking at this part of it. You just took out the low of the day, so you got to figure that people are buying here at support. I guess this is your scalp today, was to buy new lows right down here. And you just be buying this. You just put, your orders got filled. You just put limits here at new lows, and you're already up on the trade for the scalp. Now you're looking to go for the full engulf. Okay, here comes the top of the hour. 3 p.m. is the big bring the hammer down. So you have to buy that last 15 minutes you had to buy here. So you're about 2 minutes late to the entry. Because that's on a 15 minute, you'd be buying right here. And you got limits below. So you can buy all the way to this void if they come smashing back into here. That's only a 3K. But if they're just layered in there, then there's a lot of, you can absorb it. The price. Here's your British pound 5-minute chart. Pretty quiet markets. I mean, definitely sideways. So anybody that's buying this void here, they probably scalped out. There was your first scalp where you could have bought this and then exited at the floor. And here's your, what is this like? Yeah, you bought these new lows, scalped it here. You could do non-directional trading here. Here's your triangle before the collapse. So here's a little baby. Low volatility entry just before the meltdown. Kind of dicey at this time of day. Nothing's going to sell at the end of the fizzle. So wait for 3 p.m. to make a decision on the dollar here. Is it going to keep crushing for the next 10 minutes? So this one would be, are they trapping these people on the 1 hour breakout, or is this a real breakout? Is it a breakout or a fake out? I don't think I have a very good template on this system. This is not the best template in the world here. It's just candlesticks. So, new lows. This is the support levels. I could just throw them in here. If these are Fibonacci levels, you just place an order at 618, I guess, and walk away. So that was a huge. And we could also come all the way back to the middle of this whole road, which is if you cut this whole thing in half from here to here, you basically could come back into, I guess, the middle of the water. So right here was the 4 hour structure. You could walk all the way back to that or something before buyers come in. Or this one here, because this is just on this one broker. You're almost to this entry. The 1 hour view is a little bit, there's way more trades on the 1 hour. So you're just waiting for it. Of course, if this, in the next 10 minutes, you would buy at the market. If it's down, if you're bullish, you have to buy at the end of this hour. So you have your finger on the trigger, or you're buying into this pullback. In anticipation, like on the 5 minute, you're already kind of bouncing. So if you bought every 5 minutes, this was dropping and you're building a long position underneath this is unfair value right now. So you're underneath the floor and you're like, you know what? I can't believe I'm fucking buying this as it drips down. But you're trying to scalp back to here. You're only trying to make this many pips. And maybe after you scalp to there, you've got targets that are above this structure, and it's gonna whip to here. It's gonna pause, and then it's gonna complete to there. Maybe it engulfs. So it starts to take off this trend line. You should getting in anticipation that it's gonna bounce to here, pause, and then rip through and scalp to there, and then maybe you add on. Maybe you get a slight pullback here and you can add, or you're actually short from. So if you were short, where would you have your trailing stops? Right, you probably the robots and everybody's coming in with trailing money management stops here, and then they have stops here, and it keeps on ratcheting up, right? And then that's going to fuel, if it goes up, once they clean out these stops, it's going to create a big fill, because there's already a price vacuum on top of this wedge. So you have to figure, well, they're going to fill there, and it'll be a big gust. The pressure's been building up, and this is wave 4. This is a walk down. So that first target's going to be the double bottom on the 5. So you're a target now. People are cashing out. Are people willing to sell there? They just did. So somebody just cashed out. And their cashing out caused sell pressure. And you can see it on the tick chart. So that was the scalp. In fact, here's the top bottom on the tick chart. If you're sitting with your finger on the trigger and your spread's that tight without commissions, sure, if you pull this trigger, you could trade a standard lot with a 2 pip stop, right? And you have to sit there and watch that tick chart and nail that trade. That's totally doable. Of course, you're out of the I'm assuming you're probably out of the trade on this price pulse, because if your stop is that tight, you could trade maybe 40 standard lots on one trigger pull and be like, yep, I'm done trading for the day. You see, spreads 0 essentially. I think it goes to 0 on this broker quite a bit. Oh, this template doesn't have a spread. Let's put the spread in here. So the indicators it's in. Let's see. What the hell is that? It's just called spread. It's like, I just want to say, I think it goes to 0 quite often here. Okay, it's 0.2. That's pretty tight. It actually goes to 0 quite often. So if you sat there with your finger on the trigger, as soon as the spread goes to 0. So here's wave 4 on the tick chart. Looking for more buyers to come in here at double bottom on the tick chart. So if the 1 minute chart's a little bit too, if you don't have the patience for the 1 minute chart, there's always the tick chart. So we're just waiting for here's the 5 minute bum rush to the top of the hour. Hopefully we get a rally here. They've trapped everybody, otherwise it's just going to be a washout. Because they're here where the sellers are coming in here. And evidence the fact that it's sideways, but you gotta wave 4 on the tick chart. Like all the stars are aligned, you gotta wave 4 on the tick chart and you're below fair value, so looking for a rally. We would draw a trend line on the tick chart. We're looking for a break of that trend line before the top of the hour. So we have 4 minutes to break the trend line here. And can it break and get some nice follow through where it can go up like 3.5 pips, which is a huge move. Like, because you're running a 1 pip stop, right? 3 pips is a good rate. You just risk 1 to make 3. And the spread is under half a pip. And I don't know if there's commissions or not on here. This is a demo of a Bitcoin broker. Let's see if I look at the account history. So 0 commissions, looks like. Oh, wait. Look at commissions on the euro. It's 80 cents. Or 8 cents. So you have to move the decimal point quite a bit on this broker. I don't know if that's round turn. So that's why the spread's 0. So you're just not psychologically seeing the cost of trading. That's the only bonus of commissions. You just don't see. It doesn't piss you off because the spread's wide. Every time you pull the trigger, it's a flat fee per ticket size. And that's the... so here we're waiting for this to engulf. I'm waiting for this to, this top bottom fail right here. So this double bottom should not become a top, and we should just start to engulf. And then eventually take out the trend line and start taking out these blue levels. And then maybe the stock market starts to sell off here, and maybe there's a huge, this is like a big crescendo in the stock market, and the dollar is going to go down with the stock market, which I don't understand. They used to be completely opposite. And the euro used to be synced to the stock market, and maybe they're going to depart. So the euro's going to go up, stocks are going to go down, and basically, it's like instead of sector rotation, it's like a logistic rotation, and everybody moves their money to another country, or all of a sudden there's demand for that because there's a price vacuum. Like, I really just think the chart's causing price movement. The chart's just showing you where the market hasn't been, and the path of least resistance would be into the vacuum because it's sucking the price in to this whatever vacuum's right around you. So the market gets overextended on one side, gets unfair, vacuum forming behind it, it starts to back up, and then it fills, and then it's like pretty much satisfied. If it comes back into the fold, that's where everybody agrees, and that's where you have the doji, so everybody agrees. People say, well, the market's indecisive. Well, actually, the decision's done. So it's come back to the middle of the range, which is kind of like the landing place for all the trading that has gone on. Like, everybody's satisfied, the buyers and sellers are satisfied, so the market's like dead in the water, and now it's consolidated. And that's just a typical phase, right? You have expansion, consolidation, like there's a huge industrial revolution, then you have consolidation, which is wave 4. So that's what Elliott wave, if you study Bob Prechter, he's talking about cultural Elliott waves. So you have like, he kind of describes the movies, like gangster movies came out, that was wave. There's wave 3, right? In culture, there's wave 3, and then there's wave 4, consolidation, and there's the final wave 5. And so I think that the United States have been in consolidation for quite some time. But now that everything is resolved, you have robots, and you have pretty much, except for a couple fucknuts, you pretty much have peace and harmony. And then it's kind of, the wave 5 is the big move, or it's the move that definitely the volatility would kick up. So I just wonder if stocks have not, in a psychological term, it's the end of wave 3. Like it's the end of some wave 3 because it's big. It's the roaring 20s. It's the big industrial revolution, whatever have you. Okay, here's the top of the hour. So here's a moment of truth. So it's kind of that big, explosion, and then you got consolidation. So you still have that even in most things. Most cycles would have a huge expansion, and then they just retract. And market catches up with itself, so to speak. And of course, if it's usually continues in the last no direction. So after consolidation, everybody gathers their wits. Then you go back into, I think wave 5 is definitely where everybody agrees, and there's a problem with that, right? Because everybody says, oh, no, it's really in an uptrend. So wave 0 is buying new lows of the day. Wave 1 is like, oh, look, it's retracing. So here's wave 1 on this thing. Elliott wave is wave 1. This is wave 2. Is wave 3 going to be big enough to crush through this floor? Then wave 4 can be very complex and very zigzaggy. So the only thing you're sure of is that the only thing you want to trade is wave 3. If you're Elliottician, you only want to trade wave 3. You want to trade the gold rush. You don't want to trade when everybody owns gold, and now they're taking their gold and they're taking it to the pawn shops and they're dumping it because it's worth so much that they'll even pay a bad spread at the pawn shop. And then everybody's cashed out. Now this consolidation comes in. Right, so that's the phases. But there are psychological phases for anything. Any fad, like, oh, the latest thing is this, then everybody's doing it, and then it saturates, and then it consolidates. Then there's one guy that has the retro version. That's wave 5, right? Hey, look that's coming back. Then it comes back one last time, and people go, holy fuck, really? So you see this in the movie business. You see We're going to come back with shit that you grew up on, all this Marvel comic shit. Well, once that ends, they could bring all of Hollywood down, right? The last wave, you don't need Hollywood now. You can just go on YouTube and watch some documentary. You don't need to go to movies. You probably I got caught in autoplay in YouTube and ended up inside of ancient civilizations where, there's these buildings that are made out of stone where you can't even get a razor blade between the rocks because it's precision cut. And you're asking yourself, well, back in the day, how fucking patient and how expertise were these people? I got these people out of their mind. And I wondered, could you shave? You could shave something that tight. You actually could do it. Without a laser, without a machine tool, you could do it, but you need to have quite a template. It's not to say you couldn't build a template out of some organic materials and kind of rough it in and come back and go, you know what, we're almost done. It's been 500 years we've been on this rock, right? How long did it take you to shave that rock? And, of course, who knows? Of course, people's lifespans back then, it's like you'd have to have 5 generations hand the notes over to the next generation. Supposedly back then you only lived like 30 years. So I don't know if anybody's watched any of these documentaries about these places that are just mind-blowing, The rocks alone weigh 60 tons. So even if you could shave that rock, how would you set that rock up? Like, had you shaved it properly, and it's granite or something, how do you arrange the rocks without breaking your back? So I wonder about that. Of course, nobody knows, which is kind of funny. I mean, nobody has any video tape from back then to show us or any films. So that's kind of weird that you live on a planet that basically goes back so far, and now you're living in the space age where it's really sci-fi, really. I mean, 50 years ago, if you told somebody, oh, you're going to be able to do this, they'd be like, you really... Of course, 2001 came out, and I thought that was just what it would look like, 2001, because it was a really well-recorded version of the future. I thought that's what it's going to look like, and that's pretty much what it can look like. I mean, you got Skype, so they had Skype in 2001. Okay, another pullback here, so yeah, it looks like we're just going to dissolve. Keep tanking now. Go for the big stop hunt here into the stock market. It's probably going to go up now. What's my stocks at? Go back to the Dow Jones here. 4-hour Dow Jones. I wonder if they could take out the high of the day. This will certainly be maybe not unusual. Not impossible. But holy God, doesn't anybody wonder about this stuff? Like, I told some guy I was getting a couple slices of pizza, and I asked the guy, because I got anybody ask, what do you think about Bitcoin? How about that Bitcoin, 5,300? He's like, yeah, Bitcoin, I heard of that stock. And he goes, yeah, I heard people are investing in that stock. And I said, oh, you're all over that. And, but I said, I'm not saying that you should buy it. I'm just saying, aren't you blown away by the price it's going for? Aren't you astonished? And, of course, you really have to just try to get your brain around that it was going for like $1,000 a coin, like just 5 months ago. Like, what the hell's going on? This is an astounding move. So that's just fascinating. I'm not saying that I would buy Bitcoin and ride it to $10,000 a coin. Here, stocks are going through, making an attempt to take out the high of the week. Take out yesterday's high. An astounding move. You never thought you'd see a stock market. This is a stock market that's supposed to crash when Trump was elected. Well, that's a lot of people misread that move. Because that was, this is the daily chart. So if you go back to the November election there, you go way back to here, I suppose is your insane breakout. Just mind-boggling, really. Starting right here, starting gate. Just mind-blowing. Look at the big stop hunt. That was the election, I think. Just mind-boggling. Can't even imagine. I just could never ride a trend. I would be getting out right here at this blast here. I would just probably get out of here. I would never get back in. Because if you look at the weekly, it's just too frightening. I mean, you just think to yourself, okay, you're buying? Okay, I guess so. Of course, you would have said the same thing back here in 2013. You're going to buy stocks? I mean, I tell you, that's when I'm thinking scalpers or scalping's the place to be, because sure, I would have scalped some of these moves, but to hold through this whole thing, and then this monster sell-off in 2015, people thought this was the end. They thought that was the end, and it was just a big stop hunt. And they trapped all these bears here. I bet a lot of people were. This is when all these people were calling. Actually, here, the market crossed over, moving average crossed over here. People calling for the end of the world here. I remember. And then, of course, the election came, and good God, man. Like, what the hell, right? BTFD. Is it a florist? Is that like FTS flowers? Oh, buy the fucking Dow? Is that what BFD means? I'm just guessing. So I just bought more euro here on, let's see if I didn't get stopped out. I'm not paying attention. I guess I said I was going to buy at the end of the hour and I missed it, so I actually got a better price. So here's my stop hunt entries. I don't know if they filled me because the spread here is a half a pip. So here's my buy zone. Is right where they're stopped everybody else. So they took out these money management stops here on the 4 hour down here. So I can't tell here. Plus I had this one's I was running the hedges on. I don't know if they stopped me out of that either. I think I'm down like $20 here. Just put buy stops in above. Buy at the market, and then my limits hopefully got filled down there. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think the headlines are going to be when the stock market gives up a little bit of ground like it did here 2 years ago? At the end of 2015. What's the story going to be? I'll buy the fucking dips, yeah. Oh, really? Is that, yeah, that's probably what a big, is that, you heard that in the war room probably. It's war room talk, right? Yeah, it looks really, everything looks choppy now. Gosh, that Dow Jones though, what the hell happened there? 4 hour. Something's up. Something's crazy here. Just gonna wonder how long. I guess the money's got no place to go. The dividends, I heard this because the dividends pay more than any place you could park your money, so it's maybe not. Maybe the companies are making money, but I don't see any companies making money. All the companies I know are out of business. unless these are all digital companies, new companies that come on and just reincorporate. And so on paper, they're making money. I don't know. Of course, people buy back their stocks even. I guess these guys that really believe in their company. There's a guy on a Harley. Big sloppy engine. Of course, they bailed out Harley Davidson here in the States, so it's kind of funny because they're just built like shit. But people love that, the fact that it's built like shit. I guess it's like a Jaguar. Take a 12-cylinder Jaguar and spend half your time calibrating the camshaft. We're trying to get to run. I guess that's the mystique in it. Whereas you take a BMW motorcycle, which some of those are bad shape, or I guess you get your Ducati or whatever your true Italian motorcycle. I think that's the way to go. Drive down the streets. You find streets with no name, and you listen to U2. U2, and you drive down there, and so yeah, it's pretty. This is a boring way to make money. What are you gonna do? Yeah, it's just the scripts are the only fun, I suppose. So I'm down $20 here trying to make it back. So that's quite the walk down on this 1 hour chart here. Came all the way back to the starting gate again. I don't know if they can push it down into this hole now. I wonder if we come back to this tonight, but I think that maybe one last rally, and then you drift sideways again, I think, in Asia. I don't think there's a chance to take out the high day at this point. So maybe you could take out today's high coming into Europe maybe. And of course, I think the final postage stamp on the sell window is going to be who's not selling up here, right? Who's not selling or getting out up here on this huge void, just on the wicks, just wicks alone. And of course, putting in sell limits here for a scalp, and your target's going to be, it's already spelled out, it's already established as your target is going to be that rooftop. And so maybe you come up, you're long here, you cash out here. You have to cash out of something on the way to this line, because I just can't imagine this is going sweeping up here. This 4 hour chart goes sweeping up, cut through there, smash through there, come back. I mean, a lot of people make those projections, but you have to take into account there's going to be probably about 5 pullbacks on the way to this target, even if you hit that target. And they'll be on the half-hour chart, and there may be 3 entries, Like, you're presupposing that this 4 hour channel is going to stay in effect for the rest of the week. That when you get this double bottom, and as soon as you turn the corner here, you hold this some semblance of a channel here on the way to the ultimate target being, well, they're going to finally hit these double wicks up here. But we could just fall out. We could just fall back into, hit the bounce off, and you could trade. Say scalp bounces off of these levels. There's your perfect 4 hour where bottom becomes a top. It fails, crushes through, and then there's the big smash back retest. But I think stocks do have something to do with this, but it's not directly correlated. I think if you look at here's the 15-minute channel. So here's your buying. Here's a doji entry, so I could put in my hedge script here. I'll do just because I posted that hedge script. There was like 5 scripts in here. I don't even see the ticket now. Okay, up here. I have to hurry up and get it in there. So that's a stop. 2 pips away entry. Wait, I think I rewrote all these to 2 pips. Yeah, 2 pips. Market's so quiet that looks like a wide entry. So this way, if it keeps tanking, I would get filled on the sells, and so I'm running a trailing sell stop to go the other way. And if I would have punched the thing here, actually when the market was down here, if I would have loaded a hedge here, because it was the ATR matters, so it's a small 15-minute bar, so you run a tighter entry and tighter targets. And now we're trapped. Sellers are supposed to come in here at this last known bottom, and they're about to break the channel. And if sellers don't come in here, they fail, then that's when it would cut through and deny that structure as being valid. And you'd have to figure anytime you're below this wick in price, that's the unfair value entry. Hopefully you've scalped it here. You've at least scalped it here on something. So you took something off the table on that. And now, if you built a position on that walk down, you'd have to say, okay, now I can turn my scalp into intermediate trade and move my targets up like 10 pips or something, and try to take advantage of the maybe there's a 10 pip rally coming as they go after this guy's stop, and the seller should come in there, which is, if you cover this back, it's a time top from here. It's the 15-minute time top, and there's that little window. So if they can break this downtrend channel and take it back up there, let's make this some type of more seeable color. And so this is, you're banging up against that, and then cut through. You have to shear off this. You have to really hit it hard. The sellers are going to cash out into this floor. Most people would. But can the sellers take control of that pivot and take it back down? Might be tough, because in the big picture, looking at the 4-hour channel, so you sync up these two channels, right? This is the 4-hour picture, and that's not much of a pullback, but the true range is dropped down. So if you run a 1-hour chart here, this is 4x, right? This is 4 of these bars make 1 of these bars. So here's the hourly channel, and there's the 15-minute. So the people that are short on this channel, where's their exit cash out? When are they going to have to go with the larger picture? So here's the large channel. And if you're counter trend trading that, you can see all the great counter trend trades, but you had to know when the counter was over, because here people are saying that we're breaking this trend line possibly. You could make that argument, but at some point, of course, this is a failure to really meet the channel if you built it off of this low here. But definitely going to negate. You would never draw a channel in that wick, because you couldn't draw a time channel. That's just literally a price channel, because that wick would destroy your time analysis. It's also why you don't want to run those tick bar charts, because they distort time. They're taking out, like, I know people want the market to look the way they want it. They want to see what they want to see, but what they want to see isn't real. They want to see a tick bar chart, which I think is complete bullshit. It's not a real chart. It's a compression. It's a volume compression chart. You've basically destroyed time. Price levels exist, but time doesn't. And you just distorted it. It's like time. It's like if a song changed from 60 beats a minute to 88 beats per minute randomly. You couldn't listen to that. You just couldn't follow it. And the noise matters, Like this double bottom here is like people say, well, that's noise. Well, you're not trading this double bottom on the 15, but you're aware that it exists. But you came all the way back here and you closed at that same thing. And now you're curling up. And sellers would be, now as soon as it starts going up, I'm thinking maybe I should sell. I'm always thinking the worst. Maybe I'm on the wrong side. Maybe this is dead cat bounce. Maybe this down channel is really in force. Well, you just don't know. You have to wait. But so you're presupposing, if you're buying on the 15-minute pullback within the 1-hour channel, you have to make suppositions there. But it's not to say you're not going to get another one of these brutal black swan wicks, that they're not going to spike that right now, and I've seen that happen. So I've been in that trade a million times where right now, out of nowhere, bam, and just leave you like this. Of course, this is an uptrend here, but just out of nowhere, I don't see too many. Here's another big wick. So after this move here, it looked like everything was off to the races. They came back and they stopped on a wick. But this is tip. At the end of the day, you figure there's a little bit of a follow through on the previous price, so maybe you only drift back into, like I said, maybe you only make, before the brokers close their doors in an hour and a half, you only make your targets are only going to be. So I'd set your initial target to here, and if you're lucky, they take it up into just above that wick, and they trap. Or they stop out people with the money management stop bots that run on that trailing stop idea, that they'll get filled on this wick, and then everybody goes out flat. And then you go into Asia flat, and you place sell limits above and buy limits below. That's what I do. I go flat, and then I come back in with limits. So this is my typical cycle of trading, is that, or I'd sell here at the market. So if they came back to the sell line, I sell one at the market, start the whole game over again. So, but I like to go flat and then place sell limits above and buy limits below and see if they can come to me, dare the market to fill me. And as if they're on the way to my orders, if they come into my buy limits, now I'm stalking the market thinking, can I add to this thing, or do I already have too many limits in? And actually, like last night, I got filled on limits and I got a little, like, I got in too early. Always in too early if you buy even one pip too early, right? You could just make the argument, your brain's going to say you're in too early. But if you're scaling in a 30 pip range, it's different than scaling in a 10 pip range, because scaling in 10 pip range is very snug, you know. That'd be damn good, right? Hey, what's going on? This is, we have Harpal Kalashnikov. I can't pronounce his last name. I'm just going to go with Kalashnikov, the guy that invented the deadly military weapon. I actually thought it was sushi. There's a sushi dish called Harpal Kalashnikov. Harpy taken from the Harmia a little lower, or the what do they call that candlestick pattern? Dark cloud cover, not dark cloud cover. The Harmy pattern, which means I guess the smell of fish. I don't know. I'll speak Asian, but it looks like an Asian name. Or a cereal. It looks like a cereal, like a high fiber cereal is your name. That Kashi. I was addicted to this cereal. It's called Kashi or something. And I come to find that it's really infused with a bunch of sugar. That's how I became addicted. I never gained more weight in my life. I was having cereal. And I had already impregnated with sugar. The cereal's pre-impregnated with sugar. So, but I was going under the belief that it was healthy food, healthy carbs, and just almost died on eating that shit. I mean, I was just so big I couldn't walk to the store and buy it anymore. I guess that was a self-regulating process where. This is why they shouldn't allow these hovercrafts in the grocery stores. For God's sakes, people, this is your only chance to work out. I mean, stop it with those will be robotic next, where it's memorized everything. It can read the fingerprint of your ass, and it's going to know exactly who you are, and it's going to shop exactly what you normally shop. And that's coming. The ass reader. Because they have, I go to the store now, and the chick that's... she's billing out my pizza here out of her magical ovens, and she's got to get into the register, she's got to put her thumb on the register now to log in on the. But of course, the swipe machine for my card is so ass backwards that you literally have to hit OK and then swipe your card. Like, you have to commit apparently to the transaction first. So I guess the sequencing, the syntax is designed to deter theft, right? Because if you already know the sequencing of the ATM scanner, you can somehow hack that. Maybe it's some kind of anti-hacking algorithm that makes makes your life living hell with all this stuff. I think that's the one my Windows 10 keeps asking me, do I want to update? Or no, I'm sorry, we can't install updates. Yeah, it's because I said no updates. Sorry, we can't install updates, and hit this to fix it. I'm thinking, no, let's not say we did. And of course, if you're running MT4 on Windows 10, I'll just warn you, at least on my Dell Windows 10, that look out, because if you go to resize your terminal window in there, it'll hang and stick, and then you got to reboot the whole MT4 platform. And at a moment's notice at any time during the day, it may rewrite the whole, it may reload the whole thing. And apparently I'm doing some gesture movement. I'm not even touching the screen, and it loads every symbol. All of a sudden I've got all symbols. Like you literally, with a tablet, you can literally brush by the tablet and reset 5 settings on the fucking MT4 platform. With all of a sudden you're set to, okay, find all symbols. And how about I look at level 2 trading? How about strategy testers loaded now? Now, I've never run strategy tester in my life on this MT4 that's running on the tablet, but for some reason, all I got to do is like look at the thing cross-eyed, and boom, I'm into some. It's testing out a EA or something. So I really get very frustrated with this fucking tablet, because I wish it had like a lock screen mode where, okay, can I just turn the screen off? Like, is there a button? So no, even if I vomit on the screen, it's not going to try to launch something. Like, can't I just have like a safe? But I'm learning all the time that there's a button to turn the screen off. And then of course the thing goes into sleep mode, and I open it up to see how much money's in my trading account. And I'm like, holy shit, am I getting hit again? Like, look, I'm down to $5,000. Oh no, it's just that your tablet went to sleep and it's got the old prices. So it's very, very hellacious. But I'm excited about the tablet because I can actually be somewhere and look at the thing and go, and at a glance, I'm like, looks like a buy to me, hit the buy button. And, you know, your first guess is your best. So if you look at the trade, if you look at the chart, you're like, oh, I'd buy or I'd sell. Of course, some of this comes down to being, some people are just inherently bearish, so everything looks like a sell. But once you figure out, well, this is a sell with a tighter stop, let's say. Like I could sell here, but I might, like if you sold the Dow Jones, if you've been selling the Dow Jones for 2 years now and you got enough money in your account, I'd say keep selling, add to a loser, because how long? Of course, I don't know. What's going to happen if the economy, now supposedly the world economies are trashed, and over there in Greece, people are blowing each other's brains out, going to the ATM. I mean, all the drama you hear about, right? Venezuela, they're eating their neighbor's dog. What if things calm down? So what if things get better in the world? Do the markets come unwrapped? Because, like, is that scared money that was in the market? Like, what happens? I'm just kind of curious. I just like to speculate. Fundamentally, as the pieces on the chessboard start to, or the end game, as you get near the end of that phase of development, what happens next, you know? Like, how does the story end? Of course, it probably goes on forever. Ancient civilizations, people are still here, right? I mean, you can go back to these Mayan pyramids and all this stuff and think, well, of course, these people might have had a different mindset back then. They're just happy to eat breakfast. But you got to wonder, now that everybody's so rich that they can afford to be, just play on computers for pure entertainment, like play a game on a computer, eat a bunch of Cheese Whiz, they can eat Spam out of a can while they're playing a game. You got to wonder if you take an Egyptian and you took an Egyptian in the future, I mean, his brain would blow up, right? I mean, how he's like, well, I'm looking at pictures of my pyramids online. He's looking at pictures of his house online. I mean, of course, you have to drag him into the future for this scenario, but I think that mindset would just be amazing. They've done movies like that. I think, what was that movie where the guy was thawed out, the caveman guy? I can't remember the name of the movie, but like a Rip Van Winkle story. I don't know if anybody familiar with the Rip Van Winkle story, but that, when I was a kid, I thought, yeah, 20 years in a coma? Okay, yeah, that'd be a brain teaser. Like, if you're in a coma for 30 years and you wake up and, it's just a little tough to catch up. The guys in prison, I see these guys get out of prison. They try to catch up with the technology. So self-driving cars going to scare the fuck out of somebody right from primitive times. So yeah, we're a slow drift out of this trend line. So the scalpers are out, and we're back to this situation: is do we or do we not take out this support? Now, on the 4-hour chart yesterday, so I was going to broadcast yesterday and say, hey, look at this setup in the 4-hour. Do you think this is a buy or a sell? And basically, in the structure theory of life, it was a sell, but the question was it going to happen? And you can't see it on the chart here because it disappeared, but like this is only existing for a little bit last night. When what it was is there was a top here, and in trend theory, and double tops a top becomes another top, and this is supposed to be the sell zone. This guy here is supposed to be where the sellers would hold this price here, but there was a double top here last night on the 4-hour chart, and the question was, that was after this wick too, so it came back here to pause, and the question is, if you looked at this last night, you would make if you're trading setups, you'd say, well, look, we're in a downtrend, or we're in a down channel, and we're right up on this resistance level. This is should take the rallies in a sell, but the question was, could they hold it there? And of course, this is like maybe near the end of the day, or no, it's like maybe middle of the day, and then they kicked it through that window, and then they weren't able to hold it below that structure level. So that was kind of bizarre. And of course, you didn't know the future, so at this point, the price was literally right here. It looked like a double top in a downtrend. So people think, well, it's sell there, right? It's going to continue tanking, but it was that moment of truth where it was a true pivot, and it totally took that out. And then we started marching up here, and then maybe there's one last move, and we completely retest this top. You know, for the bulls, their dream is that, well, their dream is 19, $19. And they complete maybe, but that may not happen now this week because you're running out of time here. But that was total auction where you take out the low of the week, you take out the high of the week. So that auction's over. Now the rest of this is just kind of like, okay, maybe it drifts and takes out. It comes after these wicks and never quite makes it there, But that was that'd be your kind of like, your structured target. But I'm just looking tonight, if we can take out, I'd be a seller anyway. Anywhere up here, I got a sell banks up here. So I got a bunch of sells pending, but they're just scalp oriented. So basically, maybe 5 pips stop to make 7 pips, a 20 pips stop to make 20 pips, and maybe even a 20 pips stop to make 10 pips, but you can't put too many of those in, but those are higher probability you can make your 10 pips. But if you put a 20 pip stop to make 10 pips, coming with a 10 pip stop to make 30, and they're placed at different levels and different orientations, then you're actually ratio-wise still within your risk ratio rules, because if you have 1 out of every 3 orders is an inverted ratio, but you're more likely to make 7 pips with a 14 pip stop than you are to make 14 pips with a 7 pip stop. Because the criteria to enter that trade has to be, well, it also would depend whether that's a market order or stop, or I'm speaking of pure limits now, that if you put a pending limit out there, start selling new highs, and you've got kind of a little high risk, but incorporated in that bank, you've got the really good ratios, and you're selling near the top with the better ratio. So if you initially get in on maybe break even or worse on a few tickets, but then you've got other tickets that are peppered in there at different levels, and those are good, double your monies. The other ones are triple your money, but they're near the top of the range, because you know that the higher it goes, the more likely it is that that's running out of gas up there. And so you would orientate those. But I'm talking about putting in single Ks, maybe 50K, 150K, 30K, 28K, and that's your trade plan, you know, and you just lay that out. And you could also trade at the market, leave some margin available for your, oh, I think this is it. I think we're going up now. Then you're looking at the tick chart, or you're going to scalp, and you got one ticket that's your scalp key. But it's kind of obvious what's going on here with the euro dollar. Now this run here on the 4-hour chart was amazing. Like if you rode this channel, this is just amazing, right? Amazing move. And that was another complete auction, and where they stomp everybody out here, and they go around reverse, or they crush everybody, or they trap these long-term breakout traders, trap down here and then ride all the way back up. Just amazing. And then of course the backfill into this triangular void. Once again, one wing of a bat wing, all the way back to starting gate. It's very range trading, much range traders dream. But there's a trend on the way to the edge of the range. This trend's broader, walking back down the pyramid. And here's this void. So we filled this void. Then when we filled this one here. So we filled these two triangles. I didn't really get a good triangle there, did I? I'm not good at drawing these. You have to put the coordinates in here. So we filled this void. This was the bigger void, and this was the longer-legged, huge breath move. Now this is a smaller breath, and we're starting to coil into a longer term. The volatility is dying out, and now we kind of have a slight triangle here. If you consider this to be like a wedge, so it's just volatility is drying up, and maybe it has to come. Maybe it just finishes here, just like walks down and forms a triangle in the end, or we're just going to keep banging north, and this we're going to ride a channel that looks more like this. We're going to ride that channel out of there, and when you look, if you zoom out just slightly, because you don't want to zoom too far out, you lose perspective of the current story. That you know that this would be okay. This is a wedge here, so you're either going to drift here and create a point where it just keeps on coming down, or maybe just bangs around in here. Or if you break this, if you keep walking up and negate this downtrend line that goes way back to here, so you're thinking, well, it's a pattern within the pattern. This is your big monster trend line, and that's on the 4-hour chart, only going back like 3 weeks. And so, are we gonna walk through here tonight and just break out, and then start going after this huge vacuum that exists here, and come all the way back up to $1.20. And so, but you know the sellers are going to come in at 119, and you can do anything above this. You know, this is just seller's dream for scalping, because anything up here is a struggle. The market will, and I doubt that it's going to keep this. It's going to walk perfectly through this channel and crush through. It could spill back. It could go rocketing up, come back, topple over. You know, anything's possible. Okay, so stocks are closing. So they did that. At the end of the hour. So at the end of the hour, if you do this, now you have to stop buying now. You might be tempted to buy here, but I think that really you should be a disciplined trader, and you should hire some hot chick to beat you. Be a true disciplined trader. But here, you stop buying here, because you're chasing now. If you buy now, you got to realize you're risking more. You should have loaded the wagon here on the stop hunt, and you could have bought on that last hour down hard. But you should be long now. Buying now, I think, is too dangerous for me. But some people say, "Oh, it's going up. I'm getting confirmation." Okay, but feel free to chase. Just realize that, if you're adding to a winner, you could over add and be like, you know what? Only saying because I've done this a million times, is that then they really pull it back, and then they do another stop hunt, right? So we could always come back and crush deeper and go after this guy's stop. This is where the top become bottom. And we could crush back in. Of course, as time goes on, it becomes less likely because you're drifting towards the close. Here comes the stock market closing in like 18 minutes. And so my target here was originally the 15-minute wick. So here, let's see what happens. Of course, you know, this is where the sellers are supposed to come in on the 15-minute closing price. This is supposed to be right now. So we're in that window now. And so far the sellers have not come in to any extent here. And you're coming up on this trend line's already broke on the 15. If you're just going to attach it to these two mountain peaks, you're breaking through it right now. Then the question is, can they stab it into and pop it into this thing? And a lot of people are going to cash out there. Of course, I can put sell limits up there now. So if I want to trade both ways, now I put sell limits here, and I'm going to sell it because it's not the best. Here's like here I don't have a really scalp orientated tickets here. The closest I can get is like risking 10 to make 20. But I'd start selling here. That's a 1K. I'd sell deeper in here. I'd start selling more aggressively here, and then sell very aggressively all the way up into here tonight. So as it goes up in there, and I'd probably watch this, you know, I'd watch it from my tablet. Typically, I put the orders in. Let's see what happens. If they come smashing up into there and it comes smashing back, I'm like, I'm getting out. Like I scalp out of this. I could place these in with kind of wide, you know, these are wider, 12 pip stop, and say, okay, I'm going to actually drag and drop them right on the structure level. Put a cluster. Now there's a dense cluster here. Now I'm just putting in 1Ks. Focused on a pivot though. So I figure if they trip through here, then they smash to here. This is scalp, ripe for the scalping in Asia. This is a major resistance level because this is the shoulder. The shoulder is from the previous head. That sounds bad, from the previous head. But that's obvious, right? And of course, if these last 8 hours and we don't get up there in 8 hours, then that trade plan's over. And maybe it should be, because maybe it's pulled back and it's gearing up for a huge move that will blow off. It will take out today's high tomorrow, or even in Europe. Now, as you reorientate the chart here and you reframe it, you would change your mind about this trade. Every time you frame the market, it's going to change your prediction because now you've changed the framing. So I can make the argument for a buy by saying, look at I could force the trade visually by saying, look at this pullback. But then if I stretch it out, I could say, yeah, I think it's going to tank, because I guess maybe you're framing it. You don't realize you're framing it to how you think it's going to unfold. So here it looks like more like a sell. So if I put enough data in here to say, oh yeah, but we're in an uptrend, see? And of course, your long-term moving average is probably in an uptrend. So you can kind of force a trade by framing it to your... Now, the sellers are supposed to come in here. So they're coming in a little bit. And of course, next 15 minutes is critical, because if they can't pop it above this 15-minute, take out the last 15 minutes, then that means we stalled out, and maybe this structure is still enforced, and now we're going to go down. But of course, the other thing working against the market for the sell-off is that, in a way, they had their chance, and they kind of ran out of gumption to the downside. And if you're looking at the stock market for any kind of clue, if stocks fizzle here and can't get above the high of today, then I kind of think the euro could drift north tonight. And of course, the sellers are coming in right now. The scalpers are coming in. They're getting their exit doors here. But yeah, it's saying, you know, really can't talk about the other currencies because there's too much really going on. If you're in any size in these markets, you're really just worried about the thing you're in, because if you're in really big, you would be scalping, or you'd be having to make a decision. Say you're risking more money than normal, like you've upped your size, now you pay attention. You want to really pay attention to if you have any pending orders, and if you have sells. I just put sells up here for 8 hours. Now I could see that. In other words, at around midnight, U.S. time midnight, that I'm giving it till midnight to get to here for a sell scalp, but I'd have to actually watch that because these aren't real scalps. A real scalp would be like risk 5 to make 8, risk 8 to make 5. Because here, you're asking for the market to come to here. It's like an empowered trading trade. You're waiting for the market to come to here, and then it's going to come back to here, and you're going to cash out. Like, oh my God. Like, what if you just never make it up there? What if this is the sell-off? Like I said, the sellers are coming in here. It's structure. If they take out that wick, then that's it. You're stopped out from your idea that it's going up here. But yeah, just like clockwork, the sellers come in here. Now they just took out the low of that bar. They just took out the previous low. Here comes confirmation, right? So maybe people are selling now. They go, like, yeah, that is a resistance. I'm selling here. Okay, confirmation. They're selling. And maybe they have to really crush it now. They got to go all the way through the floor here now. Stocks are about to close in 10 minutes. Now they can smash this down. But if you're not in big, you don't have a problem saying, well, you know what? It's okay because I'm going to buy new lows. I'm not in that big, so I'll buy new lows. And if they stop me out, whatever. There's also, because if the stops are tight, and if you imagine you cashed out, right? So I don't know if this thing cashed out because I don't know if my targets were set for 5 pips. But that's where the sellers are going to come in. It's obvious. Whatever was a bottom, the last known bottom becomes a top. Last known top becomes a bottom. It's just like pretty stupid. Now, the question is there enough velocity to crush that through, take out the low of the day? Or is this just a 15-minute flash crash that you want to buy in limits? So I'll just buy the limits here. So I'm going to dare them to stop. I'm going to dare them to come after my limit orders. And I'll put I'll just run tighter stops now. So if I've already gone into too big a position, now I'm forced to run very tight stops because it's about money. It's not about pips. So I'm really big and I got a wide stop. Can I add on micro pullbacks? Well, I'm going to need micro stops on that in case I'm wrong. So now I'd place in, I don't have them on here, but imagine if it was a 5 pip stop and I could place a buy limit here with a 5 pip stop. And at the end of 15 minutes, I would just religiously buy at the market because that's it. You just have to buy on pullbacks. Except they're going to go try to crush it here, but I got my limits in, and so you just have to wait for the resolution of this. And of course, it's so quiet now that even if you sold that, you'd have to think that you're going to be taking profits right now. If you sold the bottom of that, if you sold here on the clock, you're up on the trade more than the guy that got in on a confirmation entry on stops. Because he's got to get follow through on that. For him to make money, he's got to take out the low of the day and just crush it down here and scalp out. But see, they just stop punted this bar. Now you have to really crush it down here in the next 10 minutes. If stocks are marching towards the high of the day as this thing smashes down. You're coming up on the high of the day here. So it's kind of a contest there. And of course, it's unbelievable. The stock market's just literally unbelievable. They'll actually finish the day saying that it's up on the day probably, even though a lot of people wouldn't realize that at some point today the market was getting smashed to bits, and they came back, and people that buy on a retested doji he's got in here, that was the top bottom, but they overshoot the runway there. And so here's 15-minute big flash crash on the 15. So at the top of the hour, if we're down here, you just buy at the market. If you're not getting filled on your limits, and adding to the position. So if you built a position during this whole wedge in anticipation that we're going to go up in Asia and go after today's highs, we're going to start marching against the high of the day into Asia, and maybe by Europe open, you're right up against the border. I don't know if there's any news coming out tomorrow that's going to really kick everything alive here, but does anybody check out Forex Factory? I don't really keep track today. I forgot about the news. Actually, I was talking to some guy this morning while the market was moving, and I saw it was 7:30 in the morning. I thought, oh my God, is this news? And then when the news did come out, unemployment claims are down. Doesn't mean anything because people just stopped looking for work. So the Philly Fed Index is bullish. And actually, this is supposed to be good for like people say, well, the economy's good, stocks go up. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if that's what it is. I think it's just like I said, order imbalance drives the market. Too many people on once crowded trades, price vacuums, and then of course they write the news to fit the market. And see, tomorrow the news would be. Let's take a look here at the news tomorrow. Tomorrow's news today. Well, it looks like the Canadians have a bunch of news, but really there's nothing. It's just no. Oh, Yellen's going to speak at 7:30 p.m. Now, explain this to me. So Yellen's going to come out at 7:30 p.m. tomorrow night? Really? Wow. Is this like a meet and greet? Friday night, Yellen's going to... Is that right? My God, man. No, really? She's really throwing in a... That's like the Chinamen do. They come out at like on Sunday with their gross domestic product on a Sunday morning or something, right? Because those Chinamen, every day is a work day. Sunday's the first day of the week, right? They're like Jews, right? That's the first day of the week. They don't work on Saturday. I don't know what's going on. I'm not paying attention. I got to pay more attention. But yeah, what is that? Yellen's really going to speak. I mean, that's what it says. What's Forex Factories? I mean, Forex, my Forex book say. My FX book. What's my FX book say here? If I can see anything. Oh, I spelled mine wrong. There you go. Yeah, I wonder. Because that's got a lot of news that just comes out of nowhere. Holy shit. What was that? Oh my God. Well, I guess we're getting paid earlier than I thought on this one. Did news just come out? Did I miss something? Fuck. What the fuck was that? Man, that was brutal. What's going on? Did Kim Jong-il drop a bomb? Is there news coming out? Does anybody know what happened there? God almighty, man. That was crazy. That was quite a burst. Well, that hit the target early, I guess. Oh well, don't have to wait for that. Look at that was my target, and hopefully this thing scalped out. I don't know. It looks like it made $35, so I'm just going to cash out. I wasn't planning on that. Wow, that was psychotropic. Looks like there's more left. Wow. What do you say about that? I kind of want to buy. I'm going to buy at the market with a wide stop here. Is that a bullish move? No, I'll put on limits now. That's just order imbalance, right? So I guess the breakout of that wave 4 was pretty violent. Wow. That was just devastating. So that happened last night. That happened to me. The market started to scream north, and I was like, "Holy shit!" I was upset about it, to be honest with you, because I was expecting a nice drift up, right? I actually trust a drift up than I do a spike. Spikes scare the shit out of me if I'm long because I'm like, holy fuck, is this just momentary and then I'm going to get raped? So I'm always suspicious of that. Does anybody know what the news was there? Maybe no news. I don't know. British pound move. They're recalling the Brexit. Okay, looks like we're going to go after the high of the day, man. I'm going long here. Who knew, right? So, wow. Stocks melting down? No. What's the story? Jesus. Well, that didn't take long to get paid. Now they're coming into my sell limits. Fuck. I got to close them out. I got too much exposure on the north side now. Oh, well, that was literally psychotic, man. Wow. Yeah, that's woof. I think we're going after I'm going to have to take out the high of the day now. Well, I guess we don't have to wait till Asia. Wow. Okay. That was insane. Yeah, to take off some of my sell limits there. It's a little too violent. Jeez. Wow. That's spooky. I'm going to buy on limits, I think. Okay, now I want to put buy limits in there. Wow. That's pretty violent. So I guess am I the only one trading this? So yeah, these buy limits back at the starting gate. Wow. Yeah, look at the Dow. It's gonna crush. Going after the high of the day there. I don't know. I don't see anything in the news. I think it's just order imbalance. Look at the stock market though. Oh, I think there's something going on. I think we're going up on the euro here. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to chase this on my real account. I have to go to the 1 minute chart now that was your entry, I guess, this 1 minute pullback. You got to like buy that pullback. You got to adjust to current conditions. So I'm going to buy here in this demo. But look at that. I'm up $60 there on that. As I built into that wave 4, look at the stock market going after another historical move here and close. Something's crazy, man. I mean, scary. If this pulls back to this white line, I'm buying at the market. It's hard to board this train because it's scary. I mean, something's up. I mean, I've never... Okay, 4 o'clock. We just closed the top of the hour. Stocks are closed. Maybe I'll just buy one more here. I got limits sitting beneath on this thing. So I'll buy if they crush it back into this hole. Well, that's frightening. Like I said, the same thing can happen on the downside, but I mean, I've seen this before, and I'm like, this is kind of scary because I have sell limits from above the high of the day, and if they go crushing up, like I'm telling you, if we go up 50 pips right now, you're going to have to cancel out your sell limits. Because if you put them in thinking you're going to get filled while you're sleeping, if we go violently shearing up, then they might crush your whole order bank. So you got to thin the tickets. You got to go up to this closed ticket. This is called closed ticket. And you got to start plucking off these limits up here. I actually put my limits pretty far north on this one. My real money, they're really tight. But here my sell limits start at the high of the day. Actually, this is pretty tight. Anything below 1900, I'm selling on demo. But yeah, that's crazy. I just, I figured it was a good buy, but I don't like it when it I prefer a nice gentle rally because the spikes like that means it could spike down. It could go completely ballistic and shear up and down really hard and just make mincemeat of shit. Oh, is he going to speak or did he speak? Yeah, maybe he said the bombing starts in 5 minutes like Reagan. Let's see. Did he tweet something like, I'm coming to get you, Mr. Rocket Man? Come here, Mr. Rocket Man. Come here, you. Wow. Oof. I think the euro's going up hard, man. So I'm going to buy at the market. I'll buy on scalps. I'm putting some scalps in here. Pretty vicious. I put some limits in there too. Scary. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think he said? That was just the fact that he maybe said something about this North Korean thing. Like he's going to start nuking them. Let's see, news. Team 10, Puerto Rico. 2 hours ago, he adjust this by time. I'm not a filter by time on here. Most recent news. I don't know. I don't see. I think it's just Puerto Rico is all I see. 36 minutes ago. No, just stunned by selfish congressman woman. Doesn't see anything. No. I think it's just the fact that there's something going on here with the dollar and the stock market are connected in some way. I wish the market would not be so erratic, though, because don't they realize I'm in a fucking trade? I want a general rally, not a spike up. Can't they see what I'm doing here? How dare they? Oh, really? You mean Powell? The oh, not Powell, the guy from the commander, from the Reagan, from the not that Powell. So is Powell is he QE friendly or something? Is that why the dollar's getting crushed? Is he money press friendly? Printing press friendly? Wow, it's really, the market's taking it hard here. I got to tell you, this euro dollar is scaring the shit out of the bears. I'm going to play it on this demo, though. But my real money, I put my orders pretty high up. I think we could take out, I think we go after 119 here and some psycho spike. Honestly, this looks very scary. If you're a bear, you're scared shitless right now. I would be. That's some fucking, there's a lot of space above us where we could go. Get their lickety split. And maybe the stock market rallies over because we got a, what are they, not a bull, but we've got we got a dove. They're going to elect a dove. Is that what they consider Powell to be, a dove? Powell's no hawk. It's a dove. Morning dove. Sorry, morning dove. You just got caught in my wood chip shredder. Oh boy. That'll slam the door on stocks. Change the tax code. Put a money printer in the Fed. Right? Isn't that going to be the nail in the coffin for everything? Wow, look at this thing go, man. I'm putting 50 pip targets on this now. I can't even buy enough here on this demo. I don't have a key for that. Like I'm too busy managing my own money here in this drama. Wow. Let's look up Powell. Powell for Fed. I guess that was a leak. For the Fed. Huh. He's leaning towards Powell. Who is this guy, though? What's his claim to fame? What's his pedigree? God, he looks old enough. Jesus. But what's his, is he a dove or a hawk? Can't even read this shit here. And Secretary Steve Munchausen. Does anybody understand the this guy's fundamental view of banking? Let's see any. Let's see what's his. What is his? Why won't they give me the? I got to go to the bottom of the article, right? The truth's at the bottom of the article. And for the real story, they had the most unflattering picture of Trump on this page of Politico. I wonder why. He looks like he's about to burst. He looks like he's trying to spit a pit out of his mouth. It's just so wrong. Okay, I can move my targets up. 119. If we hit 119 today, I'll be like, yeah, I can't. It's like so stupid, so cliche. But I don't know, man. I'm going after the high of the day right now. We're within 13 pips of the high of the day. Make a stampede for it. Make a run for the border. Border Patrol. Yeah, so 1850. We're almost back to 1850. So you're talking about a 40 pip run here by the end of the week. And of course, once you trip the high of the day, I know sellers will come in there. So I have my finger on the sell scalp trigger. I start running sell stops. As soon as we trip the high of the day, I come in with some sell stops and try to catch a pullback, try to catch a sell-off. If you take out the high of the day, just clip through the high of the day there and try to scalp a sell-off, like the trap traders. So nobody has a view on the Powell thing here. Well, that would make sense, right? No, I just looked at Politico. It came up as the only thing that came up. I'm sure Zero Hedge, right? Isn't Zero Hedge the place for all that groundbreaking news? What a stampede there. Short squeeze for the euro for sure, right? Anybody that's short's getting squeezed right now on that. Man, that was quite the completion of that fucking pattern. I mean, that's the thing. I just really would have... Of course, some of these moves, in fact, you can't. It's hard to really gauge the... like, if you don't have a 50 pip target set and you put that trade on and you walked away, if you came back and you saw it went up 40 pips and your targets were set to 18 because you got a scalp, that was the outside of your scalp range, then you're just all like, you made money, but you're kind of like, Jesus. I wish I would have had a long-legged swing trade blended in with my scalps. Huh. Oh, so the guy wants to hike the interest rates. Okay. Yeah. Well, you know, if interest rates went up, there's no sense in owning stocks. The dividend. Of course, if they change the tax structure on stocks, don't forget a lot of the stock market shit's the fact that people don't want to get out. The people I know that own stocks, they don't want to get out because guess what? They got to pay taxes. So the capital gains tax is too high and they're living off the dividends. So it's like it's a market in which there are no sellers available because everybody's holding. Any new people that come in, the people that are holding aren't selling, and the people that are coming in new are buying, so there's no sellers. And it's kind of just like, wow, dividends are, I guess, worth quite a bit of money. And it's like untaxable, or it's a lower tax bracket, and it's kind of passive income where, and of course the bonus is the face value of the stock's going up. But yeah, what's going to take to pull out the rug from this thing? Go the other way. So we're making a mighty run here as the brokers close their doors. Making a mighty run for the high of the day. I'm definitely selling at 1860, which is beyond the high of the day. Somewhere up in there I'll be getting out. Because if it's really going up, there should be some pullbacks to jump on. Let's hope, right? But I won't complain if it pops up 10 pips here. So 10 pips from the high of the day, pretty much. But yeah, it's stocks are just unbelievable. Double top there on the 4-hour. Do you have any stocks to Paul Ryan? Well, Paul Ryan, you're in Europe. I guess with your stock market is the UK and the FTSE. I mean, the FTSE and the CAC 40 and I don't have it on here. Is the DAX? Are they all making new highs today? Somebody's going to have to give up the ghost. Somebody would be the last market to make a record high would probably be when we get our fail swings. Is if you watch the stock markets open on Monday or tomorrow on Monday, you see the unfolding of that thing. Who's going to be able to push it past that point and then kick it? Once the first stock market starts to tumble, I figure the other guys are going to follow, right? There'll just be a big wave of selling of equities across the planet. The world's very small now. I mean, people just like global index funds start to sell, and you unravel that position. And if Bitcoin backed off today, so you're really sitting on the dailies of buy on Bitcoin already. Bitcoin's pulling back for another rally, it looks like. Pretty unstoppable stuff. It's the Energizer Bunny theory of trading, apparently. Wow. Look at this euro screaming north. I'm just going to I'm going to see what happens when he fills these sell banks. I think I'm still long into this trade. Oh, I got sells. I'm already in sells. So I'm taking some heat now. I've got sells. But I really start selling up here heavily. So I go pure martingale at the top here. So I was at 5,700 for a moment. Let's see my win-loss ratios. I'd have to go to FX book. I think I actually got my profits on that 32 pip winning hedge there. But see, you could have loaded a hedge before that drama started. You actually would have made money on that rally. You see here, I'm up. Okay, I'm up 672. Now my monthly return is if I keep going like this, 142%. But my total returns are 13%. It's all 1Ks. 5 days of trading. And I'm only right 63% of the time, so That's pretty funny, but that's just how it is. Average, my trade length is 67 minutes. And I make 91 cents. My average trade win is 27 cents winning. Or 27, is that cents? Yeah, that's right. It's a lot of scalps, but I'd add it up to 605 days. I've made 600 and because I placed I do 500 trades per day. So my broker loves me. Do 500 trades per day. It's because a lot of these orders, you know, I hit the button, and not to mention I hit the button repeatedly. So I'm probably making $100 a day. So if I'm doing 500 trades a day, making 27 cents, that sounds right. So it's low risk to me. It's very low risk trading. Okay, make a stampede for the high of the day here now. Making a run for it here. Cashing out into the anywhere from let's see. Oh, I'm willing to ride it for another. If we take out just come up with the high of the day now, and go up about 10 pips, smash up into my sell limits. I'm actually winning on something here. I don't know what. I might have got stopped out of I got stopped out of a sell, and I'm in a win here, I think, from a long I'm still holding. Or maybe I'm up on, no, that didn't pull back yet. So this is the moment of truth on the 1 hour. So coming up into these huge sells. I got some limit grids here I could drop. Now I could just be a peg and just throw these in. Canvas this whole area up here. So I feel more confident about selling all the way to 19 for the next 8 hours. So with my real money, I'm going to place orders in very thinly in case we smash up in the next 40 minutes into the close of the broker's close. We could see a huge spike. Or we just fizzle right here and never take out the high of the day. It's just kind of just nudge, just kind of barely break out. And then sellers come in like crazy. So prepared for either scenario there. Of course, in this demo account, I'm just going to have fun. I can't even do this on my real money account because they shut me down. Last time I put this many orders in, they turned me off. Told me I was spoofing their servers. Okay, we just took out the high of the day. No? Yeah. Okay, just took it out now. Let's see what happens. As we come up into Psycho, basically a huge vacuum here. That goes back. It's the next price level on the 4-hour chart as they come after this wick here. This will be the big. So actually all my sell limits are in that window. And we're still waiting for the bottom of the hour, which is another big deal because the half-hour robots and the half-hour people are going to trade that. But now we're in the seller's window. Just took out the high of the day. So I would sell here, scalp out. If I'm long anything, I just got out of my longs, I think. Now I'm in pure sell mode. And I'll sell. Since I'm already short and underwater, I'm just going to hold. So I should be in pure sells now because I cashed out my longs. So I should be pure sells. So the sellers are coming in. They just trapped everybody at the high of the day. And now maybe it's going to walk all the way back. Now I'm going to put buy limits in. So I'm just trading whatever the chart. It's going to be all the way back to this point here. So maybe we get a bounce in this zone, or we're going to come back all the way into here, which is totally possible. In fact, I've seen the market when the news comes out, it comes here, it slices all the way down, just literally slice all the way back into this. Because what if these guys are like, well, that guy's not going to be Fed chairman after all. Then they're like, oh, hell, buyer's remorse, right? Comes smashing all the way back through the floor. And you got buy limits down here now. And you're really trying to corner the market. I'm trying to corner the market. I'm saying, well, you know what? If you're going to do this, I'm going to do the opposite. Then if you go there, I'm coming here. You go there, you fake me out, I go there. Then I go back there, then I'll see you over there. And basically, I could not do that only on one. I can only do that on one currency pair because what's the British pound doing right now? I can only imagine. It's got to be insane, right? I mean, the British pound must have reacted to this news or this dollar Swiss or heaven knows. Here's the pound, 15-minute. Well, a little bit of a bounce. New Zealand came back from the abyss, apparently on that news. Look at this New Zealand. Right? So I was saying earlier, if you scalp to here, look at this complete engulf. Did anybody just trade? Now, there's a monster. Same thing. It doesn't look so dramatic on the 15 when you frame it differently. You zoom out here, it looks like nothing. When you look at it like this, you're like, holy God, I don't even know. This is not a real price grid. Australia exploded, right? Exploded out of this narrow zone. But here, if I was trading this, I put buy limits below. So when Asia comes, I could trade a high probability bounce, let's say, in halfway, a 50% pullback or 618. You got like a one order here at 618. But you have to put a bunch of orders in, I think, really, to really make a lot of money trading. You just got to have seriously, 75K spread out at different price levels. And when stuff unfolds and crazy stuff happens, so now I feel safer placing my elements back in on the top side here because I was expecting some kind of, it's ballistic move. These ballistic moves are just totally, if you have a bunch of pending orders, you have to be careful. Now here, I'm apparently winning on this. My cells are coming back from being underwater. So here's my winning cells, right? Now these are elements I placed earlier. I'm about break, so I'm underwater, and I'm only down $2, so I'm kind of holding my $700. So I'm $700 there, but yeah. So that's it. I don't know what to say. That's my view of the trading world. It goes from very boring to very insanely exciting for no apparent reason. That was a huge explosion. Of course, a lot of compression here, and your breakout bot would have gone long here on default. He would have never got filled on the sell side. Here's where they would have chopped your robot to death right here. Just before that rally, I guess you got to go the 5-minute to see that. So here we were very quiet, and then we exploded clean out. So very quiet, and your 5-minute robot, which there should be a 5-minute robot that can actually trade that, but he has to have targets that are literally 20 pips. He's risking 4 pips to make 20 pips. Here he makes 20 pips in about 5 minutes. Actually, it was very quick. That was less than 5 minutes because he spiked up, came back, closed in the upper portion of that 5-minute session. But who's sitting here buying, building a long position, and then bam, and then it was. This was the last kind of baby flash crash before that explosion. Pretty amazing, insane. So I don't know. I got to go get something to eat. But thanks for tuning in to the How to Blow Up Your Account show. I was looking for Curtis Hanley, but he dropped out of the stream broadcasting because people were needling him about his trading. They were commenting on his trading, And it was very distracting when people start to challenge your trading, what you're doing. It can be very, okay, so I have to get out of my winners here. So I'm cashing out on my winners because I have to take the winners I got because we're going back up. So it looks like Asia's going to be maybe a creeper gear drift north. It's really hard to say, but yeah, it's always hard to say. Fed chairman, boy, that was quite I just think it was order imbalance. I mean, I know the Fed might have said something or they might have been picking, and maybe they were about to announce it. In other words, maybe the price here, this drift down, is actually responding to the fact that they're anticipating an announcement. So everybody's kind of sitting still going, well, what's he going to say? And of course, the market is showing you that they're waiting for something, or there's not any news, or there's nothing. There's nothing going on, and not to mention the bears have stopped stacking up here, which just fuels this market. And you've seen these moves a million times without news. I've seen them, and maybe there is news that I don't know about. But when it's going sideways, I mean, it doesn't take much to trip those algorithms. Besides, the longer this goes sideways, there's an algorithm, or there's a person. An algorithm is just a person trading a certain technique, or maybe it's a robot. They're stacking up on that strategy to go long and get filled on stops, and it just is autofill, become market orders blasting up. And since there's no sellers, because most people assume this is an uptrend, there's nobody on the other side of the trade, it's just complete order imbalance, just pure buys. Right? We have to assume. So you do have to assume a lot of stuff when trading. They say never assume anything. Well, you have to do in trading, or you never trade. You would just sit on the sidelines going, well, I'm waiting for confirmation and, all that nonsense. But, yeah, what are you going to do, right? Nothing you can do. So it's like an endless array of chaos and nonsense here. Yeah, I just got on here. Yeah, so how's it going over there in Canada? I was just gonna bail, but go get some food. But how's your 22 pairs treating you? Are you able to this explosion in the euro here? I see a couple more. I see the dollar got punished on a couple. I'm not watching all the currency pairs. That wave of excitement in the euro here must have gone across a few currency pairs. I saw New Zealand took off like a rocket. Of course, I would expect for such an illiquid pair, for being on the edge of the seven majors. New Zealand, is New Zealand a big enough country to even deserve to have a currency? Like, look at the size. I tried to find New Zealand one time on my Google Maps, and I kept zooming in. I miscued and ended up in Australia. Oh my God, yeah, it was so cold here 2 nights ago. I woke up without my blankie on me. I got like a mental frostbite. I could see my toes turning blue in my mind's eye. But I like the cold because I slept so good. I went into hibernation mode, which I tell people that's not for bears only. I was basically I slept so good that I woke up and thought I had a whole new life. But the problem I've been having is that since I'm sleeping so good, I'm having nightmares. Well, I mean, some of the part of the dream is fun, but some of it's very not fun because, dreams can be very illogical. And it's not only illogical, but the bad things are happening. Like people are asking me, I actually lost my tablet. I had a nightmare where I went to the park. They got those, you go to these parks where you go down a slide, tunnel slide, And for some reason, somebody asked me if they could look at the MT4 platform. Somebody asked me if they could see the Eurodollar chart, and I kind of threw the phone down the tube slide, and nobody ever brought. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, I think I'm in a trade. I need my phone back. And of course, in the carnival-esque dream state, I woke up. Actually, I thought, no, I just lost my tablet. Damn it, what am I going to do? And all my personal information's on there. So I woke up and was very happy to find out that that was a nightmare. But I don't know. It's stuff in your day plays out in your nightmares. So. Oh, yeah. So you're very... oh, so you prefer the cold temp. It definitely changes. I think that's your blood. Supposedly your blood gets thicker when you're in hot weather and thinner when you're in cold weather. I think. Oh, perfect double top. So the scalpers won again. Look at the guys that sold here within 1/10 of a pip of the top of that. How this guy, and you can see the bid here, so you know you got filled, right? On this broker, if you put a sell at the tippy top, you are now up on that trade a proud 5 pips. Resistance really does work. Look at that. And you're betting on it pulling back to maybe here, or maybe getting the hell out now going, you know what? I think it's going up. So I'm going to do that since I'm in this demo. So I'm cashing out of my winners now. So I'm almost flat. I'm still in 8K. Down to 8K here. I could pluck these off. Here, I could just take all profits key, even 0. To that script, 0 win should be a profit, but so I can go flat here into Asia, kind of relax, and say, well, you know what, that was a good breakout. We scalped that breakout, and there's more drama to come. And possibly we pull back 10 to 15 pips here, and I can buy on limits. And if that's not the case, I'm going to have to, what I do real money is I just kind of wait every 5 minutes and pluck off. Or if I really think we're going to go up here, I'd just take off and just be sitting in a 4K short. And then we could still pull back, right? If I went to the rationalize a pullback is that we could still go back to the 50-yard line here. And of course, you know, if you believe top bottoms on wicks, you're going to say, well, you know, I got a target here, it hasn't been hit. That was my sell. So every time this comes near this wick, I can scale out and go totally flat, which may be the best thing psychologically too, because there's no doubt that this thing's been bullish for the past 40 hours. And this big rally here could fuel a lot of people wanting to jump on the long train and try to buy every pullback they can, thinking we're going to 119, which probably are in the end. Or at least you're going to go up 40 pips, 30 pips. And Asia maybe is drifted into the London Open, and there's not really any big news coming out. But so let's see here. Yeah. So pizza give you nightmares? Pizza. I ate ice cream yesterday, so I'm on a really high-end diet, pizza and ice cream. Of course, it's going to be... yeah, I think they outlawed tree climbing, right? Unless you have a license. No. Do you have a climbing license? You need to get a license. I used to eat, it was either McDonald's or Burger King hamburgers, and they gave me nightmares. I figured it was the beef. It was the terror from the cows being slaughtered playing out their drama chemically through this magical thinking that the slaughterhouses were so like unkosher in the way they killed these cows that The cows were seeking revenge in my dream state. Yeah, pizza balls. They have, isn't Tim Hortons that invented the, they were able to make money from the donut holes, weren't they? Because I can get Tim Hortons Timbits, right? The Timbit is that missing part of the donut, isn't it? that's really the Tim's a genius. Timbits. You need a Forex donut shop. Can I get the what flavor? Oh, we have a British pound. We call those pipettes. We have some pipettes. How would you like your New Zealand dollar? Oh, I'm sorry, that's the kiwi. We have real kiwi at our... Yeah, that's on the health menu, the kiwi. It's a fruit. God, they had a restaurant here that was like a Jurassic Park theme. And it was so ridiculous, man. The waitresses come out dressed like an elephant and shit. And, you know, I'm thinking the food must really suck at this place because it's such a visual carnival. Can you really trust that Hooters has good food? Are we just here for the spandex, or is this really good food? It looks like a drift down here, so... Waiting for my winners to become losers. I'm on the red team. The anti-Timbit. So the reason why Tim Hortons decided to make the donut hole an edible food is to make sure that the universe was in total balance, right? Because Tim Hortons is like he's a hockey player, right? So he's like, you gotta have his teeth or implants, and he's a magical thinker. And he's caught in an LSD flashback right from 1968. Is Tim Hortons still alive? Oh, really? Is he one of these where he surprises people? He ambushes them? That was, we used to have a show in the States called You're on Candid Camera. The first time somebody decided to use a camera instead of filming a serious movie, decided to just surprise the shit out of people and film it. And then somehow get their permission to use that film later. They sign off on the film. Okay, you can, I'm embarrassed, but you know, you can, for the right price, right? Harvey Weinstein stepped in and cut a check for the candid camera shots. Look, you know, come on. It's not like I'm forcing you into a sex position. I'm just gonna... Why does a guy that can afford to get a high-end hooker, I guess it's the challenge, right? That's what I feel about getting in the market too early. I like the challenge of seeing if I can trade my way out of a bad trade. So I know where the good trades are. I know where the safe trades are. I know where the safe girls are, right? The safe girl is the one that you rent by the hour. Or maybe he's truly cheap. Maybe he's so cheap, he's like, you know what, hookers, I mean, why get a hooker? I got perfectly a good movie star in front of me. I just wonder, what is the thought process of, I also wonder the thought process of the serial killer. He's like, you know what? I'm kind of bored. I want to kill somebody today. Okay. Who should we kill? Yeah, a random person or somebody I know? Random. I don't want this to be personal. I have a hankering to start killing somebody today. I shouldn't say that because YouTube will scan my video and go, look, we got a serial killer in our midst. Is it? Oh, that's right. Well, isn't Wendy's and all, Pepsi Cola owns Wendy's and all these. What's funny is that when 7-Up is owned by Coca-Cola. So you go to buy the Uncola, it turns out you're on the same team, right? I mean, there's no escaping that. I figure in the end everything would be owned by 3M Corporation, and it's be like everywhere you go, there's only one owner of one corporation. So the dollar's in trouble. Here, one last rally here. Look at this euro. So I'm kind of a seller, though. I hate chasing this shit, especially when it's coming. I don't trust this window here as you come in the broker's close. It gets all choppy and wiggy, and I'd rather have settlements pending in Asia above me on the euro tonight and scalp off of a rally if we go up 25, 30 pips and just play it from the counter trend trading into Asia. Wow, how do those guys that do that, those shocking things? Where is the? Do they have an insurance policy if somebody has a stroke and dies? Somebody has a heart attack because they scared somebody. Don't they have they must have a shock insurance because in a crazy society, aren't people worried that? What they need to do is have somebody in the audience that spoofs him and fakes a heart attack and says, "I'm suing you." We have to have somebody go on top of his trade, out freak him, take the other side of the freak out show. I think some of these people they're in on it because there's got to be a liability in really freaking people out too hard. The one they hypnotize people and they have them do inappropriate shit while hypnotized. So I'm going to peel off. So as time goes by, time's not on my side here. I'm going to peel off my losing trades. And if I wait, like every 5 minutes as we approach the top of the hour, I might even make some money if this pulls back a little bit. But yeah, it looks like it's drifting up. So I can scale out of this thing every 5 minutes too. But I'm up on the day. I'm almost up $700 and since I started trading, I think on Monday, so or Sunday night I started, so 5 days of trading. But of course, this is offshore where you can buy and sell, and there's no first in, first out rules. And I'm just trading one currency so far. I've only traded one currency, and I've traded pretty much all scripts. I never really put a manual trade in there, so to speak. I just have this one-click trading to see the quote. So we're sitting here at the 50-yard line, dead in the water, waiting for the brokers to close. Wow, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I always tease my parents and I tell them that when I go to the airport, that the guys that do the NSA, the stuff at the airport, the security, I tell my parents that I always like to tease them about, there's no bomb in my laptop. And my parents always say, you should never say that. And I say to them, I'm just kidding. You think I don't want to go. Literally, in other words, you can't even go to the airport and joke about, I got a bomb in my crotch, or I got a suppository bomb. The word bomb, I guess it's like yelling fire in a crowded room. But I'm like, can't we lighten up on the bomb? Like, can't we just bomb, bomb, bomb? What if you went in there singing like a nursery rhyme? Or how about bomb, 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 bomb Iraq? I mean, how about if you just, what if your name was Bomb, right? Your Jewish name, but it's spelled with, HM or something. Hey, Mr. Rosenbaum, you're wanted at the, wait a minute. Mr. Rosenbaum? Yeah, don't stretch out my last name, please. I don't want to go to jail. Aren't you Mr. Rosenbaum? Jack Bomb? Oh, Hijack. Yeah, right. Mr. Hijack and Mr. Rosenbaum, would you like to sit together near our exit door? So I got on the plane. I was coming back from California, and there was a guy from the military behind me, and this really cute stewardess, as they usually pick out cute ones. It was a girl stewardess. And she comes up and she asks the guy behind me if he was okay with helping people out the exit door, or just getting the fuck out of the way, or knowing how to, if he was fit enough to jump out the exit chute. And he said, well, fuck yeah. This military guy goes, well, fuck yeah. Or something. He said, like, are you fucking kidding? Like, of course. And she goes, I would like a yes or no answer, please. Like, in other words, she needs to get this yes or no. She doesn't need to know that this guy is military and that he jumps out of airplanes. The guy's like, he's like, well, of course, bitch. I jump out of fucking airplanes without a parachute, right? I mean, like, leave me alone. And of course, you know, this is too funny because I'm in the same seat and they asked me the same question. And I was, you know, like, of course, you know. I actually had a joke for her. I said, I will let them out of the plane for a small fee. And she goes, no, would you let them? Are you going to let people out of the plane? What a dumbass question. Of course, I know I'm sitting in front of an exit door, you boob. And Mr. Cinnabon. Hi, Mr. Cinnabon. I was just bought at the airport in Chicago. I have very high cholesterol. God, so what the hell, man? So this is a pretty drifty end here to the market. Now we could spike down here at when the brokers unravel. The only problem here is this broker here in 10 minutes, this spread is going to get so wide on this broker. If you don't get out now, they're going to take you out. They're going to take you out on the spread here. Just a warning in case you're trading at Uniglobe Markets, which is out of the islands, right? So it's like St. Vincent, Grenadines. And you can trade there if you live in the United States. But I just want to warn you that if you don't go flat on your day trades and you have tight stops, that they will take you out of that trade. The spread could go to 20 pips here in 10 minutes. And you're not going to like that. You're not going to like that one bit. Oh, look, they're getting a rally here. So they're going against me on the close. Yeah. Wow. There's some guy in the newspaper here that printed a story that these four golfers went out golfing, and their names were just so rude, like, you know, Dick Benz, and I mean, just really, like, if you read that, does anybody remember that girl on the news that read off the names that were fake names that were really naughty? It's like CNN or something. It was on that plane crash. Does anyone remember that plane crash where there's a missing plane? The plane that they found parts of like 2 years later. And that girl, that poor newscaster, some hot chicks reading off this news, and it's like Mr. Ting Tong. And I mean, the people that were on the plane, right? Does anybody remember, if I can find it? That Korean airline, right? Let's see if I can find it on YouTube, where she reads off the people that died on the plane. Oh man, was that the was that? Does anybody remember what flight number that was? Korean airliner. The only thing better than that is, does anybody remember the girl that won Miss America? Miss America girl that can't speak. Oh man. Miss America fail, right? Epic fail. Let's see. You find that one now. I can watch that on a loop. This Team USA. Does anybody remember this one? Oh, man.
Recent polls have shown a fifth of Americans can't locate the U.S. on a world map. Why do you think this is?
I personally believe that U.S. Americans are unable to do so because some people out there in our nation don't have maps, and I believe that our education, like such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as, and I believe that they should, our education over here in the U.S. should help the U.S. or should help South Africa and should help the Iraq and the Asian countries, so we will be able to build up our future for our children.
Thank you very much, South Carolina.
Such as. I can't take this. I watched that on a loop, man. I'm sorry, but I just find that to be so funny. It's unbearably funny. No offense to Miss Team USA. Oh, man. Now, what was that Korean? Was it Korean airline? News report? No. How would you look that? Was it the passenger names? Is that what it was? Passenger names. Air flight, maybe. I'm counting on Google helping me. You can't use the word fake now because a million conspiracies will come up. I said the word funny in there. It's like Baba Booey. Here we go. Here it is. Okay, I found it.
Coroner is still trying to determine the cause of death and whether she was already dead when the truck hit her. We have new information now also on the plane crash. KTVU has just learned the names of the 4 pilots who were on board the flight. They are Captain Sum Ting Wong, Lee Tu Lo, Ho Lee Fook, and Bang Ding Ao. The NTSB has confirmed these are the names of the pilots on board Flight 214 when it crashed. We are working to determine exactly what roles each of them played during the landing on Saturday. Investigators.
Did anybody remember that one? Oh, man. I guess this stuff just, it's anchored in my brain. It's just so wrong. I can't wait for the spreads to go wide here. 4 minutes till the spread destruction. You know what? I don't have the volume turned. Did anybody even hear what I don't have the volume turned up, I don't think. My desktop volume's not turned up enough. Did anybody hear that? I'm laughing for no apparent reason. Did anybody? Okay, I'll play it again. It's just too funny. I can't resist a good joke. This is real news from This is California. KTVU News. California. It's got 12 million views. I'm sure you've heard it.
Coroner is still trying to determine the cause of death and whether she was already dead when the truck hit her. We have new information now also on the plane crash. KTVU has just learned the names of the 4 pilots who were on board the flight. They are Captain Sum Ting Wong, Wee Tu Lo, Ho Lee Fook, and Bang Ding Ao. The NTSB has confirmed these are the names of the pilots on board Flight 214 when it crashed. We are working to determine exactly what roles each of them played during the landing on Saturday. Investigators will be...
No way. There's no way, man. Okay, so I'm not getting a response. Did you hear Miss Teen America? Did you hear that? I'll play Miss Teen America again. That's my second favorite video. Miss Teen America.
Okay. Recent.
So we're just waiting for the spreads to crush me in 2 minutes on this broker out of St. Vincent. The dangers of offshore trading. So I'm gonna have to pull out these tickets. I have to go flat here into the top of the hour, or they're gonna crush me. Yeah, I didn't know if it was loud enough, but Miss Teen America, I'm telling you what, man. And she is gorgeous. But not too, she's a little shy. She's a little I think she's just shy. Okay, so I got to get out of this thing. The spreads are going to get annihilating big here. They were definitely going to go. I got to go to at least 5 to 10 pips here on close on euro. Okay, so now the spreads are widening right now into the top of the hour. And here's where they're just going to crush it. This will blow your mind here. So be careful. Don't be in the market on close. In 1 minute, this broker's going to just blow your brains out. Most brokers, this spread goes to shit here in 1 minute. Got 30 seconds. Wow, 3 pips now. 3.5 pips now. Still not the top of the hour. They'll probably go to 10 to 15. 8 to 10 pips here in close, at least 12 maybe. New Zealand dollar goes so wide you couldn't trade it. Oh, news just came out. I just heard the my FX book news sound go off. Oh, the spread just tightened up, so they went wide into the close. But now it's kind of dicey. Spreads could really swing around like a drunken sailor now. But yeah. Really? Wow. Yeah, that guppy's brutal. Brutal wide. They spread you wide and they fillet you like a fish on that spread. They leave you spread waiting for the gynecologist to show up. And they're not they don't treat you nice, and I don't even have it on here. But if I put the guppy up, I'd be 50 pips on this broker. I got my color scheme wrong. I can't find. Here it is. Lucky, huh? Let's see. Yeah, 4 or 5 pips. Not too bad, actually. Not as bad as I thought. But the guppy's sitting at support. Look at that. Sitting at the round number. Here was a nice move here earlier. This thing really... In fact, you made more money here than you made this... Like, you scalped out of here in 1 hour, and you had to wait forever to make the same amount of pips. Brutal drift. I would prefer to scalp out and just dump and... Look at that kickback before the rally. That's pretty violent. A lot of violence there. Like right here, if you bought here and you rocketed to here, you cashed out, came back. This is why a trailing stop would have just, you would have just annihilated on that. It's never would have got paid. It says vicious. Look at this, complete meltdown, sheared off straight down. See this. This is 15 minutes down, never one look back, one bullish candle, one barely bullish candle. And in this situation, this is just incredible vacuum fill of the previous void. This whole void here finally filled. Oh, look at nice. Looks like a nice place to buy right there. We've only been here like 5 times at this round number. Look at how this is all the way back to the starting gate too. Don't forget, after one of these retracements, all the way, oh Jesus. What is going on with the euro? My God, man. Holy shit. What is the story here, people? More drama. More drama. Look at that spike. I missed it. I think they might have filled me on. No. So I have to open up my trade, my scripts, and I have to run a buy limits there. I could have got in there if I had pending limits. Fuck that up here. So hide all these guys so I can get a better tick chart going. Then I go and try to get in here on the limits. Actually, that's bad. It's like this. Pretty much just this. I want to rebuy that wick, so I only got filled on one ticket on my real money account. But this is, I'm pretty much mirroring my. So I could have stayed in that short there and I could have cashed out, but I was afraid the spread was going to kick me out anyways, because I think really when the spread got wide there, they took the ask up too high. They might have clipped me out. Here's the 1 hour chart. There's the 15. Of course, I'd buy anything that pulls back into here, into Asia, just for the dead cat bounce of it all, scalp off of that. Then I put a ton of sells above here for 8 hours. So I'm a seller up here, buyer here. We're going sideways. And it's kind of dead in the water. You know, right up on resistance. The question is, are we going to come back before we go up, or are we just going to go up? And I'm going to sell. I'm going to trade the sell side. So I'm kind of forced to buy at the market here now a little bit. Because we're very close to the borderline. And of course, if I think they're going to shear up there, of course, this is a demo account. I would, if those orders disappear in the right amount of time, if they don't, I have to come and manually pluck these out, start closing off my sell limits, because I think it's building a pressure now. The longer it trades sideways, the more there is a chance that we go zooming up. So I want to get rid of some of my, I want to sell higher and go long here, and then go long into the shorts, basically. But that's quite a move in the euro. That blast, and I guess it's going to be one of those nights where it could keep going up, right? A lot of people are thinking, oh, it's time to sell here, or double top overbought, but it's kind of scary because you're cutting into this other void that hasn't been filled yet, which is, well, basically this first window here, and then, so eventually tonight or tomorrow, I'm definitely selling up here 8 hours from now. So with this, my real money, my fake money, I'm going to sell like this. Just place those in advance. And I'll buy down here. So if I go down, I'll buy. Go up, I'll sell. Just range trading it, really. It's not even if it was trending, I would be counter trend trading here off the tops, and here I'd be buying in supposed trend trades, because if I think it's going up, then anything below me would be a pullback entry. And if I'm counter trend trading, which is just as much money as trend trading, because you can see if you counter like this 4-hour channel here, at some point, right, once they fill into this window, sellers are coming in, and you know, you're counter trend trading a big uptrend, really, right? It's kind of like, that's just the way that goes, right? I mean, in a cycle, in a ranging cycle. But of course, this channel here is a drift up. I mean, this is a pretty drift up. This is a sheer down, drift up, and of course, this one here is brutal. This is a brutal 4-hour channel that it's just sheer down. Look at the velocity of this. This is why moving averages suck, because these channels adjust. The channels adjust on the fly. They're totally. You build this channel, and then that channel is done, and now there's another channel to ride this way. So it's channel to channel, but moving averages can't keep up, and this way you know the latest channel you're in is an up channel, but this could totally turn, and then we could go into a down channel. And so these trends are momentary. They're perfect channels, but they only last for a little segment, and then it's over. And you're in a tight channel here, you could break and go, or you just keep walking up. And look at the spread tighten up here. A lot of volatility there, and now if you're watching 2 tick charts here, both brokers have the same high drama tick chart on the euro. This is the Bitcoin broker. Here's the broker out of Asia. So these spreads are, and your fixed pit broker is just going to have, the spreads won't widen. They'll just, the market will get spiky. Typically, that's what happens. So yeah, that's the view of the market. Of course, we got 24 hours left, just under 24 hours of trading left. Time to try to make some money. I would buy pullbacks here on the euro if we get them. So that's the story. I'm sticking to it. Not much of a choice, really. Okay, man. So thanks for tuning into the How to Blow Up Your Account show. Don't forget to move your stops and delete them. If the trade's going against you, just pull your stops. You don't want to get stopped out.